nation buzzes with anticipation. It is the grand reopening of Commonwealth Stadium, and Kentucky has its first home sellout of the Mark Stoops era. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. The Kentucky Wildcats open the season at Commonwealth Stadium against the Ragin Cajuns of Louisiana. Good evening, Anish Shroff alongside former Texas Longhorn Ahmad Brooks. This is Kentucky football in 2015. The packaging is pristine, the presentation upgraded, a $120 million facelift for Commonwealth Stadium. Now the question is, what's inside? What's the product look like?
Well, I think this is a team that begins to look the part. Now, as the coaching staff has said all week long, they've got to play the part. So Coach Stoops and his staff have said they've got the thoroughbreds now, and they're hoping not to have show ponies. So I know Kentucky fans, along with players and coaches, are hoping that this present is full with wins.
Louisiana is not a gift-wrapped W in week one. This is a program in the midst of its high renaissance. 4 straight 9-win seasons. They've got a chance today because they've got the best player on the field.
Well, there's no question about it. Elijah McGuire is a young man that has a tremendous amount of talent. He's got the speed, the burst, and as you see there, the 2014 Sun Belt Player of the Year. And for Lafayette to have a chance today, he's got to find the end zone. 16 touchdowns over a year ago, a special player that Kentucky will be looking to stop.
And look at that crowd, 61,000 plus. In the offseason, Commonwealth Stadium got a $120 million renovation. A $45 million football complex opens next year. And it's the first sellout here in Lexington for football since 2010. There's Mark Hudspeth, the head coach for Louisiana. He has told us that Brooks Hack will be his starting quarterback. Kept it under wraps all off season. Hack able to beat out Jalen Nixon for the Ragin Cajuns starting quarterback. Kentucky won the toss. The Wildcats will receive. SEC against Sun Belt. Stevie Artigue to kick it off. J.D. Harmon and the freshman Shaheem King back deep for Kentucky. Line drive kick. King from the 10. Across the 20. And spun down near the 25-yard line. Patrick Towles gets the start at quarterback for Kentucky. A 4th-year junior. He started every game last year, and he's a luxury for Kentucky in the SEC. An experienced starting quarterback. Not many teams can say that.
Yeah, and Coach Stoops said yesterday he earned the keys to the car, so he's now driving this powerful machine as new offense coordinator Shannon Dawson, expecting a lot out of Towles this year.
Towles beat out Drew Barker, a highly regarded redshirt freshman in fall camp. Matt Austin, our head referee. The clock on the scoreboard continuing to run. So they're trying to get the clock fixed. You mentioned Shannon Dawson, who's the new offensive coordinator. Similar style, the air raid still a part of the Kentucky formula. Neil Brown, the old OC, took over as the head coach at Troy, but Dawson will have his own wrinkles offensively.
Yeah, and the first will be he's going to put more of an emphasis on the running game, and why wouldn't you when you have a talented running back like Boom?
Yeah, that's Boom Williams Averaged 6.6 yards per carry last year. All right, so you heard the game clock inoperable right now, so they'll keep the clock on the sideline. The play clock is still good, so you can ignore that 13:30 at the bottom right of your screen. And now you don't have to worry about ignoring it. It's gone away.
Yeah, that's the team there, taking care of us. Appreciate it.
Time on the clock should be 14:55.
First play of the season. Boom Williams! Boom Williams across midfield! Inside the 20! And Kentucky opens the season with a sonic boom! A 75-yard touchdown run by Boom Williams on the first play from scrimmage for Kentucky.
You've got one of the more talented running backs in the SEC running behind number 70, Jordan Swindle, and 75, Zach West, and they open up the hole. And anytime you see the back of this guy's jersey, you're not going to catch him. Look at the size of this hole. I mean, that left side of the line caves in. Lafayette put size on him, and the rest is history as number 18 gets the first touchdown in this beautiful stadium.
Last year, he was one of 3 players in the FBS with 3 rushing touchdowns of at least 50 yards. And if you were wondering how Stanley Williams got the nickname Boom, we point to Exhibit A's evidence.
No question, a smaller back, but you see why there he has value. That breakaway speed, top-end speed to outrun defenders is one of his major assets.
And Ahmad, if you're Mark Stoops, expectations have risen. In 2015, this program looks to shake off 5 straight losing seasons. You could not have scripted a better start to the 2015 season.
Yeah, and we asked Mark Stoops yesterday about his goals for the year, and he said, we just want to win more games than last year. That's the goal. So not to worry about the past, not to worry about the future. Focus on today, and everything else will take care of itself.
Well, last year they won 5. Stoops spoke of progress. Progress would be the postseason.
Absolutely. I know that's what this fan base is wanting, and the energy behind this program right now is something that is definitely, you get jealousy, you're jealousy on all the other parts because this team has it going right now.
And the ball fell off the tee, so Austin McGinnis and the kicking team will try again. Boom Williams, 75-yard touchdown run on the first play from scrimmage for Kentucky in this new season. Gabe Fuselier, the deep man for Louisiana. The Ragin Cajuns, 4 straight 9-win seasons. However, they have not beaten a Power 5 team under Mark Hudspeth. Really the only thing they haven't done since Hudspeth took over and changed this program for the better. Fuselier from the 3. Across the 20. And driven down at the 26-yard line. Brooks Hack gets the start for Louisiana, a junior from Katy, Texas. He's played in 11 games, but only 1 career start entering today. And he's filling the shoes of a good one in Terrence Broadway. Hack beat out Jalen Nixon in fall camp in what was a very, very close and competitive quarterback competition. Play action. Hack downfield. Contact, but no flag. Intended receiver was Jamal Robinson, who's one of our impact players.
Yes, he's a big-time wide receiver who was suffering from leg and ankle injuries a season ago. They're excited to have him back, and you see there, Hack giving him the first shot of the game going deep.
Here's Elijah McGuire, the reigning Sun Belt Player of the Year, for a gain of 3. We told you Robinson was one of our impact players. The other, Kentucky linebacker Josh Forrest.
Yeah, Robinson played in 4 games last year and averaged a touchdown. That's after not having a catch versus Texas State. And on the other side, Josh Forrest, he's the leader of this defense, sideline to sideline. Over 100 tackles a season ago. He will have to be stable in the middle of the field for them to hold McGuire.
Pressure on 3rd down. Hack rolling to his right on the run. Incomplete. Good coverage by the safety, A.J. Stamps. And it's 3 and out for the Ragin' Cajuns.
A.J. Stamps, one of the top playmakers for this team. Junior college transfer a year ago, 4 interceptions. I really like how active he is in the middle of the field. Doesn't surprise me there that he's in coverage, but he can also come up and hit.
Stephen Coots on to punt it away. This is his first organized American football game. He's from Australia, played some Australian rules, played rugby. They like his leg, but it's the first live game environment in this setting, in this sport, for this young man. There's Ryan Timmons, good punt. Timmons back from the 21, gets the edge. Spun down at the 35-yard line and a late flag.
Tackles by number 4.
Yards on the punt. 15 on the return. Holy Market on the play.
Number 40 of the receiving team. That's a 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
The penalty on Nico Furios. An explosive start for the Wildcats.
That it was. Boom Williams going the distance on the first play of the game. Kentucky 7, Ragin' Cajuns none.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
Those pictures from just a few days ago as this crew worked feverishly to finish up the renovations for Commonwealth Stadium. $120 million was the total cost of the effort, actually $126. And there's another $45 million facility for football that opens next year. Here's Boom Williams, who had a 75-yard touchdown run last time. Picks up a couple, tackled by Savion Brown. Impact players when Kentucky has the ball, Ahmad.
Yeah, they went right back to Boom on the exact same play, but he's the playmaker. You'll also see him involved with the passing game out of the backfield. And on the other side for the Ragin' Cajuns, Dominique Tovell, the linebacker, number 52, very active and the leading tackler coming back for this team.
Michael Horton in the game to spell Williams. Tolles off play action, under pressure, and he's sacked. Zach DeGrange got him in the backfield, a loss of 8.
Yeah, they brought the pressure. You can see it here. It's the 4-man blitz. Wow. Excellent job of shedding the block there and finding the quarterback.
Louisiana replacing its best pass rusher in Christian Ringo, who had 11.5 sacks. That time bringing pressure from the back end in DeGrange. Tolles on 3rd down. Incomplete, intended for Dorian Baker. Part of a quartet of talented sophomore receivers. Javante Watson on the coverage, and Kentucky will punt for the first time. Landon Foster comes on for the Wildcats. He is named after Michael Landon of Little House on the Prairie fame. And Elijah McGuire waiting at his own 36 for the Ragin' Cajuns. McGuire lets this one bounce. He won't touch it. It takes a Kentucky bounce inside the 30, and it'll be down at the 28. Louisiana football after a 52-yard punt by Foster. Alongside former Texas Longhorn Ahmad Brooks and Ish Schroff joining you in Lexington, Kentucky on its first offensive play of 2015. A 75-yard touchdown run by Stanley Boom Williams. And that's the only score thus far. Second drive for Louisiana coming up. The Ragin' Cajuns went 3 and out the first time. Interesting matchup with Jamal Robinson and the true freshman Chris Westry. And we're told that the game clock, which is being kept on the field, is now operational. 12:08 to go. That matchup at the top of your screen as Westry shows blitz. Corner blitz. It's a run play. And McGuire charges ahead to the 34-yard line. It's a gain of 6. Elijah McGuire, much like Boom Williams, a big play threat. Last year, he averaged 7.6 yards per carry. And he's at almost 8 yards per carry in his first 2 seasons as a Ragin' Cajun. Hack is going to keep this one. And the read option works to perfection as he's out of bounds at the 47, a gain of 13, and a Louisiana first down.
That was an excellent read there as he decided to hit the edge. Nobody on the outside. And from talking to the coaching staff, they don't necessarily consider him a dual threat quarterback, but they said he's more than willing, more than able to get outside of the pocket and extend plays with his feet.
Torrey Pierce into the game at running back. Hack in the flat. That's Al Riles, and he's driven out of bounds at the 45 of Kentucky. 2nd and 2 after a pickup of 8. This is a Kentucky defense missing a couple of big pieces. Bud Dupree and Zadarius Smith gone from the defensive line. But they really like the linebackers, even though that unit is a little thin, and they love the young DBs. That one goes to McGuire, and he gets enough for a first down.
And to your point, Anish, from talking to DJ Elliott, the defense coordinator for Kentucky, he thought that they were better at every position, with the exception, obviously, of Bud Dupree. But as you see here today, this team will be tested as a lot of motion, a lot of movement from this Lafayette team.
McGuire again pushes ahead through the 40 and to the 38-yard line. The challenge for Mark Hudspeth this year is managing number 15's workload.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily know how many touches a game he'll get this season because he's finally the lead back. Now that Alonzo Harris is gone, I expect that mark to be anywhere from 15 to 20 touches depending on the course of the ball game. I know that's about what he averaged last year, but they'll be delicate with the way they give him the football.
McGuire tackled by Khalid Henderson after a gain of 6. Henderson getting the start for the injured Ryan Flanagan at linebacker. And there you see McGuire, capable of the home run. Both running backs today are. One has already gone deep. 3rd and 1. High snap. McGuire sheds one tackle, and this will be close. Stopped by Jabari Johnson.
Yeah, but it was the disruption from number 90. The big defensive tackle for Kentucky, Melvin Lewis, pushing people back, changing the line of scrimmage. This is what this defense expects from him.
We'll get an official measurement here just got it.
And McGuire has put on 15 pounds in the offseason, and this is the reason why, to break through would-be wimpy tacklers. You see the initial contact there from the defensive tackle, but he fights through and manages to get that. That extra 15 pounds may slow him down, but it also may push him forward on plays like that to pick up a much-needed yard and to move the chains.
So trips left, 1st and 10. The ball on the 32 of Kentucky. Fuselier in motion. Hack under pressure, got to get rid of it, and he throws it away. 2nd and 10.
See the pressure here from the bottom of your screen. Marcus McWilson, one of the top safeties for this team. Excellent job of keeping contained. Hack felt the pressure, but what a smart play from the quarterback. Rather than taking the sack or trying to scramble, did the smart thing by throwing it out of bounds.
Official timeout, a man down for Kentucky. It is the true freshman cornerback, Chris Westry. The coaches that we spoke to yesterday raved about this kid. He was a guy who came in with considerable hype. He spurned Auburn. In fact, he had once committed to Auburn, decided to come to Kentucky, and then skyrocketed up the depth chart in fall camp. In fact, passing a senior in Fred Tiller to become the opening day starter at one of the corner spots.
Yeah, the first time you see this kid in person, it's obvious that he's got the prototypical body type to play bump and run. Now, they've moved him to the boundary side corner, partly because they want a bigger, larger body there. You've already seen him come on a blitz off the boundary, and this would be a tremendous blow for them if he can't go. They think that he's their top cover corner now, but you look at this list. Also, Derek Beatty, a fine young freshman corner, Mike Edwards, Darius West. The coaches are raving about these kids, and said if they'd have come in year one, these guys would have been starting, all 4 of them. So it just goes to show you how their depth is continuing to build.
You said it at the top. They now have guys who look the part.
Yes, they do.
SEC dudes. J.D. Harmon checking into the game for Westry. 2nd and 10, 9th play of the drive. Fuselier in motion. And there was movement before the snap.
Louisiana, 5-yard.
Here's a look. It looked like that tight end got an early start at the top of your screen. But once again, you see an aggressive defensive coordinator for Kentucky as he comes out. Elliott once again dialing up another corner blitz. They're going to bring the pressure, that's for sure.
Kentucky again loading up the box. They'll bring 5. Hack under pressure, and it'll bring up 3rd and long. That was Khalid Henderson getting into the backfield.
3rd and 15.
Yeah, and 3rd and long situations. If you're DJ Elliott, what you're expecting here is you want to get this quarterback to throw the ball quickly like they did on the 5-man pressure the previous play. This team was able to come up with turnovers a season ago because of the pressure. Look for that to happen again as they crowd the line.
6 DBs into the game on 3rd and long. Hack pumps, fires over the middle, and it's incomplete. A.J. Stamps was there, as was Harmon. Al Riles, the intended receiver.
Yeah, this time they decide not to blitz, keep things in front of them, and here's why. When you've got a player like A.J. Stamps in the back, excellent job of being over the top of coverage, separating the pass catcher from the football. Those are the types of plays they need from a guy like Stamps. He's the leader in the back end, and once again, he comes through for his team on 3rd down.
So the Australian, Stephen Coots, will punt it again. Ryan Timmons back at his own 10-yard line for Kentucky. Let's see if that rugby punt is a weapon here. It is. Downed at the 1-yard line by Jake Guidry. So Kentucky pinned deep. 8:51 to go in the first. Told Paul Feinbaum on his radio show, this team can get to the SEC championship. And there's more confidence flowing through this Kentucky locker room. Matt Elam, the big defensive tackle, 12-0. Tweeted it out.
It sounds good. Yeah, let's just hope that they can come out here and provide the production to back that up.
It's the best part about the offseason. Everybody's optimistic. Everybody's undefeated. Kentucky from its own 1-yard line. Michael Horton in the game at running back. And it's Horton who gets the call, breaks away from the tackler, and gets across the 10. He's close to a first down.
Yeah, and you can see why Horton was in on this particular possession when you're backed up. Very strong kid. And they believe he and JoJo are their two short yardage backs. And there you saw it, breaking through tacklers, fighting for yardage, and getting a first down.
Horton, a sophomore from Ohio. Offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson said he's the team's best all-around back. Play action. Tolles has time. Takes a shot downfield. Incomplete, intended for Dorian Baker, and now flags after the play. Troy McCollum was on coverage.
Pass interference. Defense number 19. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Yeah, you can see the coverage here. Dorian, right there, the defensive back tried to turn back. When he turned back into his body, that's what the official called. The contact there and the wrestling. Usually they let that play, especially in a conference like the SEC. But it was that look when he came back is where the pass interference call came.
That's not a bad play for Kentucky.
Not at all.
Baker, a freak athlete. In fact, fittingly here in the horse capital of the world,
great.
He earned the nickname American Pharaoh.
I love it.
Empty set, 5 wide on 1st and 10. Tolles, quick drop, throws it downfield. Underthrew his receiver, Jeff Badette, and it's 2nd and 10. That was on Tolles.
Yeah, that was definitely on the quarterback. See the replay here. I mean, he's got 2 or 3 steps. Just burns by him on the slide. Travis Crawford gets over the top, has to slow down and come back from the ball. And here's what Dawson said when he sat down, when he came in, he sat down with Tolles in the offensive. He said, we've got throws that we've got to make. You've got to start with those. They started working on those, and I have a feeling that that's one of the throws he's talking about. Guys wide open, beating coverage, you've got to make that throw.
He did struggle in the second half of last season when Kentucky did as a team. The Wildcats started 5-1 a year ago, finished 0-6. And there is Horton again to the 29-yard line. Give him 3, 3rd and 7. And Badette on that last play, that's the guy you've got to lead. He has terrific speed. He missed all of last season with an injury. But he's a guy that Kentucky can put out in one-on-one coverage, and he can beat his man downfield.
Yeah, he and Garrett Johnson are the 2 burners on this team, and you'll see them today running seam routes, running go routes, trying to get over the top of coverage.
Tolles downfield again. He's got Timmons, who falls at the 34 of Louisiana, a gain of 37.
Nice route here by Timmons. You can see him. He beats him, tries to stack him, get back on top. When I say stack, what that means, the wide receiver is now stacking the defensive back so that he can't run through him. Excellent throw, excellent toss there.
Kentucky going quickly. And that's Horton dropped right at the line of scrimmage. Good tackle there in space by Tyron Alexander. Tolles, a big kid, 6'5", 240 pounds. A 4-star recruit coming out of high school. #1 player in Kentucky, in fact. Boom Williams now back into the game for the Wildcats. Baker at the bottom of your screen. corner blitz. Tolles under pressure, and it's incomplete, intended for Williams. The blitz came from that boundary side, and Tolles didn't see an open Baker.
Jarrell Brazil, one of the fastest players on the field today, bringing a corner blitz, and you could tell Tolles felt the pressure. That was supposed to be a screen set up for Boom. Those plays take time. Didn't allow him the time that he needed to get the ball to Boom.
Third and 10. Tolles with time, has a receiver open. It's caught by Garrett Johnson. And a touchdown for Kentucky. Ahmad, does Kentucky see something against this Louisiana secondary, which is without its top corner, Simeon Thomas?
Yeah, they're playing all man. They're pressing. That's exactly what they're doing. Lafayette is getting in the face of these wide receivers. Tolles and his wide receiving core feel like they can beat them over the top. And you've seen in just this series, 2 big plays over the top for this Kentucky team. But watch this touchdown. You throw this ball on the outside shoulder. Tolles standing tall, looking the safety off. Garrett Johnson with the catch. Touchdown.
Kentucky drove 99 yards in 7 plays. The big play, the 35-yard touchdown from Patrick Tolles to Garrett Johnson. 14-0 Wildcats. Home opener for Kentucky. A sellout crowd, the first sellout of the Mark Stoops era. And they're playing in a refurbished and upgraded Commonwealth Stadium. You could tell the touchdowns have been big plays, explosive plays for Kentucky. The first one, a 75-yard touchdown run by Boom Williams on the first play from scrimmage. Fusilier from the 5. Dropped at the 20-yard line, and we check in with Brendan Fitzgerald.
Anish at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, held a lead with 1 second on the clock. That's when Tanner Mangum rolls right for BYU, launches it up, and Mitch Matthews just gets in front of the defense. The Hail Mary answered, and BYU wins 33-28. Bronco Mendenhall go crazy at Provo. Anish?
That spoils the first game as Nebraska's coach for Mike Riley. And I believe Matthews, who caught that pass, he's about 6'5", 6'6". That's the guy you want to throw it to.
No question about it.
A handoff to Elijah McGuire. He gets 3 on first down. Brought down by the true freshman Jordan Jones. 6 minutes to go. We're still in the first quarter. Plenty of time left. Louisiana looking to get on the board for the first time in 2015. Here's Hack to Fusilier across the 30 and out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Gabe Fusilier was the slot receiver a season ago. He's moved outside, and offensive coordinator Jay Johnson said the transition has been exceptional. Chris Westry back into the game. He's at the bottom of your screen. 21 in blue. McGuire. He gets a couple. Jabari Johnson on the stop. This Louisiana coaching staff would not put a number on how many touches they wanted from McGuire, but they did say as many as possible.
I think they have to. He's the one guy out here that can definitely handle the pressure of playing against an SEC team.
Quick drop. Hack throws. He's got Jamal Robinson, who picks up a first down. Robinson's return means so much to this passing game. Their passing game really struggled for a time when he got hurt last year. They really had to redo the offense without him. This guy is an NFL talent.
Yeah, he's got a Randy Moss type frame. Not the speed, but the frame, if you will. Skinny legs, long arms, and he certainly used it on that particular play.
6'4", 205. McGuire ran into a phalanx of defenders after a gain of 2, and it'll bring up 2nd and 8. Big number 69, Matt Elam there on the stop. Look at Elam, 360 pounds. They call him Big Daddy for a reason. A ballyhooed recruit in last year's class. Chose Kentucky over Alabama and Notre Dame. Gary Haynes in motion. Hack looking to Haynes. He makes the catch and is driven back by Marcus McWilson after a gain of 7. 3rd down.
Here's where you start to see this tempo wear down on defenses. You're looking at the big guys up front. They're having to rotate people to keep fresh pass rushers in. And on this 3rd and short down, as they spread it out, you see an H-back in the game. They bring back in their run stopper in Lewis. I have a good feeling McGuire may get this touch.
Play action. Hack with time. He'll take a shot downfield. He wants Robinson, and it's incomplete. Covered by the true freshman, Chris Westry.
Yeah, and you've got to be alert. Anytime that the quarterback rolls out to the opposite side, you almost lose track of the play. But you see there, the freshman, the true freshman, Westry, doing an excellent job on one of the top wide receivers in the Sun Belt Conference.
Now, what do you make of this? The offense on the field for Louisiana here on 4th and 2.
Well, this is the time when you do it. In between both 40s is a good time to do it for your team.
Kentucky trying to get its personnel on, and Mark Stoops wants a timeout. Will step aside. 3:22 to go, first quarter. They lined up to go for it on 4th and 2 before Kentucky called a timeout. I wondered if they would bring in Jalen Nixon, the backup quarterback, who we were told could be used in these short yardage situations. But it's Hack as the quarterback and McGuire in the backfield. A 3-receiver look.
Louisiana Lafayette, their first time out of the half.
And now Mark Hudspeth wants a timeout. So a bit of a chess match between the two coaches. Don't forget Labor Day on ESPN. Ohio State, the defending champion, facing the last team it lost to, Virginia Tech. My buddy John Lazar, who's the new play-by-play man at Virginia Tech, told me this is the biggest regular season game in the history of Lane Stadium. The excitement in Blacksburg is incredible. And the big question, which quarterback gets the bulk of the snaps when the Buckeyes take the field?
That's a tough choice there, it really is. And I have this strange feeling that J.T. Barrett at the end of the day wins this job. He was playing exceptional well before the injury, and I know what Jones was able to do in the biggest games of his life. He was able to perform like a superstar, and that's the only reason why we're talking about this. But I believe Barrett at the end of the day is going to win this job.
Remember, it was Barrett who started against Virginia Tech last year in Columbus. It was his worst game, and Ohio State lost. Well, Jalen Nixon has come in at quarterback here on 4th and 2 for the Ragin' Cajuns.
And he's more of a specialist. He's got great speed. Zone read option are the plays that suit him best.
Devin Smith in motion. Nixon will keep it himself. Gets the plunge for the first down.
Here's a good look. You see just an excellent job of getting motion across the field. That's what creates that space inside. It holds that defensive end and creates a running lane for Nixon to pick up the yardage, puts his head down, pushes those legs. First down, Lafayette.
Nixon out, Hack back in on 1st and 10. Riles in motion. Hack to the air, hit as he throws it, still able to complete it. And it's Jamal Robinson tackled by the ankles. It's A.J. Stamps on the stop, but not before another first down.
They're picking them apart right now. Hack doing a nice job of recognizing pressure and the blitz, getting the ball out of his hand quickly, that time finding Robinson on a one-on-one matchup.
McGuire, the running back, out of the pistol. Ball on the 30. And here's McGuire looking for the edge, cuts it back, and finds a little bit of room as he squirts to the 25, 2nd and 5. Well, Kentucky has done a pretty good job of limiting the big plays by McGuire. We told you he's a guy that averaged better than 7.5 yards per carry last year. A little over 3 yards per carry so far.
Yeah, he was the focal point. DJ Elliott was unabashful of saying, this is the guy we've got to stop if we're going to beat Lafayette.
McGuire again bounces to the edge and has nowhere to go. Tackled by Denzel Ware, the redshirt freshman. Ware, the top recruit in Kentucky's star-studded 2014 class, and a number of those players already paying dividends for Mark Stoops.
Yeah, one of the hardest things to do in football is to tackle in space, especially when you're taking on a talented running back like McGuire. That time, drug him down in a timely fashion for a tackle for loss.
I should say Ware, the top defensive recruit in that class in 2014. 12th play of the drive, 3rd and 8. Here's the blitz. Hack over the middle, caught by Robinson. Breaks one tackle, lost the football. It's still loose, and I believe Kentucky has it. The Wildcats do. Cody Quinn covered it up as Robinson lost the handle. J.D. Harmon forced the fumble.
That is a big-time play, and this stadium is rocking right now. Once again, they bring a 6-man pressure. Hack recognizes it, one-on-one up top. Nice catch of plucking it out of the air, but Harmon getting back into the play and just fighting. And that's what you've got to do if you're going to cover a guy like Robinson. He's going to get his catches for sure, but don't give up on the play. That time it paying off big as Kentucky gets a turnover. Once again, a team that last year was on fire with that. They brought the pressure and was able to do that because of that. You see it there. Kentucky, big play.
And a big part of Kentucky's resurgence from 2 wins to 5 last year, 6 defensive touchdowns. Final minute of what has been a long first quarter. Empty look on 1st and 10. Here's the pressure downfield for Baker, and there is American Pharoah with the big catch.
Yeah, at some point, I know what they're trying to do for Lafayette, but they continue to get in the face of these wide receivers. DC Melvin Smith has them playing press. And the wide receivers for Kentucky are just getting over the top, and they're rolling.
2 running back look, split backs. Tolles to the air again downfield. And this one caught at the 40 by Blake Bone. There is a flag. Right now, Kentucky is just taking its shots downfield unabashed.
They are taking it to him with this man-to-man coverage. That time it looked like perhaps PI and Javonte Watson.
Pass interference, defense number 11. Penalties decline. Play results in the first down.
So this drive started at the Kentucky 5. 29 yards to Baker, 28 to Bone. And now the Wildcats inside the Louisiana 40.
We talked about Kentucky finally looking like an SEC team. They've now got the talent on the edges, especially at the wide receiver position.
Tolles back to Bone, and he only got about a yard, 2nd and 9. Otha Peters, the Arkansas transfer, made the stop on the final play of the first quarter. Kentucky dominant, and their quarterback fired up. See on ESPN with Ahmad Brooks and Ish Schroff. Kentucky used the big play in that first quarter. 5 plays for more than 20 yards. The first one was a 75-yard touchdown run by Boom Williams. The last 4 through the air.
Yeah, and they're just taking advantage of Lafayette in their press man coverage. They're beating them over the top, and you can tell that Tolles has found his rhythm. He's looking out to those edges. He's seeing one-on-one matchups. He's taking advantage of them. And give credit to the offensive line for giving him the time to make those throws.
Press coverage, bottom of your screen. Over the middle, and that's caught by TV Williams. And actually, they will say it is incomplete.
Yeah, you're starting to see a tad bit of an adjustment in the back end for Lafayette. That time, the
I
nickel
guess it
back.
is a catch.
Oh, wow.
And Mark Hudspeth is saying that's not a catch.
It didn't look like it.
15 yards per play by Kentucky. And I think they're going to look at this one upstairs. They will.
Under further review.
Yeah, that's clearly not a catch. See it here as Tolles throws it right into him, hits him in his breadbasket. Just trying to run before he made the catch. Cardinal sin for wide receivers. You've got to catch it before you can get that yak.
Now this will be an easy overturn. Williams, a sophomore out of Texas. He had a personal hashtag for this season, redemption season. Probably not the way he wanted to start it, but for Kentucky, they could not have scripted the start any better. First play from scrimmage, boom, Williams, a 75-yard touchdown run. All this happening in front of the first sellout in 5 years. And in a brand new stadium, essentially, Commonwealth Stadium, got an extreme makeover in the offseason, more than $120 million poured into the project. Kentucky's going all in football in the SEC. They've upgraded the talent. They've recruited well. And these next couple of years, they've got a chance to really make some waves in what is, from top to bottom, the toughest conference in college football.
Yeah, you can go from being irrelevant in college football to being relevant when you play in the SEC. So for Kentucky, they're not far away from accomplishing something big here at this university.
And you look at this year in the SEC East, there's a chance to make a move.
After review, the ball hit the ground prior to the Kentucky receiver getting possession. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. The ball will be returned to the 37-yard line, where it will be 3rd and 9. Please reset the game clock to 14:50.
Patrick Tolles, a big reason why fans are excited about this season. He's an experienced quarterback, and so many of the contenders in the SEC don't have an experienced signal caller. Now, that may not mean anything at the end of the season. We've seen first-year starters lead their team to championships in recent history, but it helps to have a guy that you can bank on, and they really feel Tolles took some serious strides from the end of last year. 3rd and 9 after the overturn. JoJo Kemp in the backfield. Kentucky picks up the blitz. Downfield. Caught. Touchdown, Kentucky. Jeff Badet.
I said it earlier, and now I'll show you. This offensive line for Kentucky doing a fine job. Swindle, West, Toth, Myers, and Asafo Adjei doing an excellent job of protecting, giving Tolles the time. He's recognizing it for sure. But when you execute plays like that, Kentucky is rolling right now as this machine for them is putting up points.
Big George, the right tackle, George Asafo Adjei, a true freshman, 18 years old.
The touchdown is under further review.
Are they going to review that last play? Either way, Ahmad, Kentucky continues to gouge this defense with big plays through the air.
Yeah, they definitely do. And here, let's see it. Yeah, his knee goes down. I think they're going to rule this one down at about the 1 or just inside the 2. But as we've been talking about, and I think the plan for Lafayette going into it was boom, especially after that 75-yard run. That's why you saw them go to press man on the edges, force people into the box, and try to make it difficult on him. But when you do that, and Kentucky now has the players on the outside edges to beat one-on-one coverage, and you can see here, they just continue to take their shots. Once again, 2 or 3 steps on the cornerback. Excellently thrown ball. The way to that pass was beautiful. Just a nice soft pass for him to catch. Kentucky rolling right now.
You look at Badette, Baker, Bone, Garrett Johnson, all four of these guys, sophomores. Some of these guys have a chance to be special players, and they give this fan base, they give this program a lot of hope in a hyper-competitive SEC. Meanwhile, if you're Louisiana, Melvin Smith, the Ragin' Cajuns defensive coordinator, who came from Auburn, has SEC experience, he told us this game would be about adjustments. Louisiana has to make an adjustment defensively. They're getting crushed through the air with these deep balls. What do they do?
Well, this is a combination of things. Obviously, when you bring the blitz and you can't get to the quarterback, that makes it hard for any signal caller.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
So when they say stands, that means not enough evidence to overturn the call. You need indisputable video evidence to change a call. The play stands. And look at Kentucky. A touchdown drive of 75 of 99, and this last one of 95. Chunk plays a big reason why.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Austin McGinnis on for the point after.
We've talked about it. Lafayette is a zone protecting team. Here on this blitz, you'll see excellent communication. Great job of picking up the blitz. Look at that. Toles had the room to throw, and the rest is history as Kentucky 21-0 over the Ragin' Cajuns.
On ESPNU! Are you ready for some football? I said, are you ready for some football? Are you ready for some football? On ESPNU! Are you ready?
That's great.
Yes.
I need that guy in the mornings when I wake up, man. That's awesome.
I tell you what, Kentucky so far has gotten the start that it has wanted here in 2015. Chunk plays have been a big story. 6 plays of 25 or more yards. Patrick Toll, 6 of 10, 166 yards. And 5 receivers have a reception of at least 25 yards for the Wildcats. Fuselier watches this one go out of the end zone for a touchback, and we get an update from College. Brendan?
Anish, thanks very much. Texas A&M taking on Arizona State in a much-anticipated battle. Christian Kirk back for Texas A&M. He's from Scottsdale, about 15 minutes away from Tempe. Takes it 79 yards on his home state team. 14-0 A&M leads in the second quarter.
That is Pac-12 South against SEC West. The 2 toughest divisions in all of college football heading into 2015.
Agreed.
An early game with potential playoff implications. Here's McGuire. And McGuire scampers out of bounds. He's marked out at the 29. Second down and about 5. Well, Kentucky is connected on a few haymakers so far in this first half. Louisiana needs a counterpunch badly.
Yeah, this is the time McGuire needs to step up and prove his value.
Haynes in motion, the give to McGuire. And he plunges across the 30 to the 33. 3rd and 2 now for Louisiana. Last year, the Wildcats defense struggled on 3rd downs. Even their offense struggled on 3rd downs. So far, the defense without Bud Dupree and Zadarius Smith, who are playing on Sundays, has pitched a shutout and forced a turnover. Kentucky showing blitz. Here's McGuire, gets the edge, gets past the freshman Jones, who makes the tackle, but it's after a Louisiana first down.
Yeah, and in talking to this offensive staff for Louisiana, they made it very clear his vision is his greatest asset. And that time, it was clogged up in the middle. Typically, you want to try to punch that thing and go north and south, but he knew he had the speed to get to the edge and get the first down.
Torrey Pierce checks into the game as McGuire gets a rest. Pierce up the middle, met by Forrest at the 39, a gain of 2. The Ragin' Cajuns last year had Alonzo Harris, the third leading rusher in school history, and McGuire in the backfield. They don't have the running back depth behind McGuire this year. Pierce, Montrell Carter, and Ephraim Reed, who's injured, part of a committee of 3 that'll split carries and backing up McGuire. Hack to Robinson in the flat, and he's met immediately at the 45, a yard and a half shy of the first down. Jabari Johnson with the stop. And that's what Louisiana loses offensively. The key pieces from last year. A veteran starting quarterback and one of the best running backs in school history.
Ton of production, but you also lose leadership. And I think that's the most important thing. People that can get the young guys going. People that can get the team going. So not only are they missing the production, they're missing the heart and the soul and the leadership of this team.
Hack with time. He'll go downfield. Good coverage down there. And it's incomplete. He wanted Devin Scott, and now a flag comes in. Cody Quinn was on the coverage.
The intended receiver was Devin
I'm not sure Quinn turned around and faced the ball.
Pass interference, defense number 16. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Yeah, here goes another look. We've seen it today earlier. Just getting in a bad position. Right there, he's in the hip pocket. That's actually excellent coverage.
Oh, he does turn around.
Turned around, I guess there, it's the tussling, the hands that are high. If you are a defensive back, you've got to make sure that if you're going to contact a guy in close quarters, put it down low. Typically, they let you play through that. But when you go high, officials are more likely to call a pass interference call.
Quinn, a senior who really had to earn his starting job in fall camp. Coach is telling us freshman Derek Beatty was a guy who was coming, wanted that job. Kendall Randolph, another sophomore, was in the mix as well. On the jet sweep. That's Haynes. Still on his feet. No, they're going to mark him out of bounds at the 30. And it should be enough for a first down. Gary Haynes, a guy that reminds this Louisiana coaching staff of Harry Peoples, who was a terrific wide receiver for the Cajuns. Last played for Louisiana in 2012. Haynes, a true freshman out of Texas, 5'9", 175. They like his future. There's Pierce on first down. Dropped at the 32 by Johnson, 2nd and 8. Kentucky against the run so far has done a good job of limiting the big play. McGuire, 43 yards, but only 3.1 per carry. The Wildcats have given up just 63 total rush yards in this first half. Back to throw underneath. And on the check down, it's McGuire, who led the team in receptions a season ago.
Yeah, if you can't run the football, slip him out in space, but you've got to give him touches. And that time there, you see him. Just a nice check down route. They were looking for him to try to loosen up this defense, put McGuire in matchups they like against linebackers and safeties. That's a matchup they feel they can win.
Play clock under 10. Josh Forrest getting the Kentucky defense lined up. Here comes the blitz. Intended receiver was Jamal Robinson. He fell down and couldn't recover to make the catch. 4th and 5.
And this is one of the knocks on his game. He's certainly a leaper, jumper. He's talented. But watch the top of the route here. Just overextends his feet, which doesn't allow him to have the balance he needs to turn around and catch that ball. And that's something that has to improve if he's to play at the next level and really improve his draft status.
Louisiana has a freshman kicker in Steve Artigue, and they'll go for it. Down 3 scores on 4th and 5. Hack to the air. He's got Haynes. And Gary Haynes with a first down inside the Kentucky 15, a gain of a dozen.
Josh Forrest and Josh Allen on the stop. Gain of 14 yards.
And a big, big fourth down conversion for this Ragin' Cajun offense.
Wildcats.
First down. McGuire looking for some space. And he gets to the 7-yard line. 5 yards shy of the first down. Second down and 5.
Second and 6.
13th play of this Ragin' Cajun drive. McGuire pushes across the 5. It'll bring up 3rd and 2.
This Kentucky defense right now, their focal point is McGuire. If I'm on the other sideline for the Ragin' Cajuns at some point, I pull that thing out, let Hack try to run it, and really keep this defense honest, where they also have to think of the quarterback as a running threat.
This might be 4-down territory. They already went for it once on 4th and 5 on this drive. McGuire bottled up in the... No, they got free. It was Hack. Well, they sold everybody, and it's Hack who gets in for the touchdown.
Yeah, and I called it. And the part of it is when you are pounding with a guy like McGuire, you see it here, it opens up. That's the focal point. He's got 2 guys on him.
Yeah.
And this defense is
3
concerned.
if you count me.
Indeed. This defense is concerned with stopping one of the more dynamic players in the country. That time, Hack taking advantage of it, making the right read, and punching it in the end zone.
So Brooks Hack gets Louisiana on the board for the first time here in 2015. And now Stevie Artigue, the true freshman, on for the point after. Kick is up and good. The Ragin' Cajuns get on the board. A 13-play, 75-yard drive. Hack does it himself.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by Chick-fil-A. We didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich.
That's the scene just a few days ago as the construction workers putting together the press box and the finishing touches on a $120 million renovation project for Commonwealth Stadium. The stadium looks beautiful. It is a picture-perfect Saturday evening in Lexington. And for the Kentucky fans, it has been a near picture-perfect start. 21-7, the Wildcats lead here in the first half. Kentucky won 5 games last year, a second away from making it 6. Had a chance against Florida at the end of the first overtime, and a controversial call when the whistle wasn't blown when it appeared the play clock had gone to 0. You can't review that play. Kentucky would lose the game in triple overtime. They win that game, it's a bowl season, and the outlook is completely different. Instead, Kentucky would not win a game after a 5-1 start. Before the game, Mark Hudspeth got the Ragin' Cajuns fired up.
Get ready. Throw the gloves off. Throw the gloves off and tell them to throw down. Hey, who's got my back? We got your back. 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 Inches on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Let's go.
Yeah. Come on, man. Come on,
We
man.
asked Mark Hudspeth this week, be honest, how many guys on the team can you outbench? He said probably most of the skill guys.
My man is yoked, man. He spends time in the weight room, that's for sure.
I'm telling you, if Tuesday's arms and back, then Wednesday is chest and biceps and triceps. First down, Boone Williams tripped up in the backfield by Tremaine Lightfoot, a loss of 2. And Louisiana right now desperately needs a stop from its defense. Kentucky has been gashing this Ragin' Cajun defense with big plays.
And they're hovering around the box. That was the first run in the last 8 plays for Kentucky. Look for them to go back through the air again as there's one-on-one matchup, single high safety, as they're trying to stop Boone from running rampant.
Press coverage, bottom of your screen. Tolles has a receiver open. That's Dorian Baker. Baker fighting to stay on his feet. They'll mark him down at the 31, a gain of 9.
Yeah, one of the things in the offseason that Shannon Dawson was working on with Patrick Tolles was his stride, his front foot. You've seen him tonight. Said for a taller guy, his stride was just a tad bit too long. And if he can keep it underneath him and put that toe in the ground, he'll have more strength in his throws, and you've seen that here tonight.
Ragin Cajuns showing blitz here on 3rd down. Kentucky picks it up. Another shot downfield for Timmons. And that one incomplete, covered by Tracy Walker, who was an all-Sun Belt freshman team selection last year.
Yeah, let's have a look at his footwork here. Last year you saw him with these long strides. They want him to shorten down his steps. You see him there, he's tight, about shoulder length apart, and that front step before was a long stride. This time he's keeping it in, keeping that getting that strength into his throws, and what that also allows him to do is to get that shoulder over the top and not launch balls like he did just now.
Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator for Kentucky in his first season, told us, we know he can throw the ball downfield.
Yeah.
It's the intermediate throws that are going to be vital to his success this year.
Good point.
Line drive kick by Landon Foster. Takes a bounce at the 25. And it'll be covered up right there after a 45-yard punt. Ragin Cajuns get the ball back. Tonight's game, part of 48 games that'll air on the ESPN networks over Labor Day weekend. We'll have 450 college football games all season. Best way to follow, get the Watch ESPN app if you don't have it. In the hotel room earlier today, I fired up Goal Line on the Watch ESPN app. You bounce from game to game. It's the best way to follow all the action.
Awesome.
Kentucky jumped out to a 21-0 lead. They've done it in large part thanks to big plays. Louisiana scored on its last drive. Brooks Hack, the quarterback, making just his second career start, rushing for a touchdown. And now the Ragin Cajuns with a score here. A touchdown can make it a one-possession game. There's McGuire looking for the edge. Gets the corner. Gets past Forrest. And he's out of bounds right at the first down marker. It's enough for a first down. And McGuire will move the chains. Ahmad, Kentucky's defensive coordinator, DJ Elliott, told us he feels his defense is stronger in most areas. They're weaker on the edges. And that's an area where maybe a guy like McGuire can take advantage.
Absolutely, and that's also the reason why they've moved more to a 3-4 look, is to try to get some athleticism on the edges to be able to force people inside.
Hack off play action. Steps up, eludes the pursuit. Nobody open. And Forrest drags him down at the 34-yard line. It's a loss of 2. In that situation, doesn't he have to get rid of the football?
Yeah, I bragged on the young man in the first quarter because it was a very similar play. He gets flushed with pressure. He comes out. All of a sudden, he throws the ball out of bounds. This time, just holding on. Now, it's excellent coverage downfield. There's only 3 people out en route, and you've got, 6 guys in coverage? So, I mean, at that point, you know you can't just swallow that. You've got to throw that outside. You got to get it out of bounds and do not lose yardage for your team.
And now Hack wants a timeout on 2nd and 11 with the play clock running down. The Ragin Cajuns with 1 timeout left here in this first half. And while Mark Hudspeth wants to talk things over, we'll step aside as well. 5:53 to go, first half. Mark Hudspeth in his 5th year as Louisiana's head coach. This program in the midst of the best 4-year stretch in program history. 4 straight bowl wins. They had never won a bowl game prior to Hudspeth's arrival. Prior to Hudspeth's arrival, they had won 9 games in a season, only twice. They've done it in each of his 4 years.
Yeah, he's one of the hottest coaches in America, and I just love his energy. I love his passion. And you can tell he really does get a response out of his players. They respect him, and they want to fight hard for him.
Oh, we saw that clip of Hudspeth in the locker room before the game. Makes you want to run out of the tunnel for him. 2nd and 11 for this Ragin' Cajun offense, looking to dent a 14-point deficit. On the toss sweep, it's Haynes. He's looking for some room and ambushed back inside the 25-yard line by a host of blue shirts.
Yeah, that wasn't the best decision there. When you've got a speedy, fast guy like that, they have a tendency sometime to want to do this, but this is not the play you want to make. Give credit to Kentucky defense, team defense. They're in the right position. They've maintained their gap control, and that time a big loss for this Louisiana offense as Haynes was trying to wiggle around and make something happen. He's now put his team in a 3rd and long situation, a very uncomfortable situation for this team and for the play caller.
Big mistake by the true freshman. 3rd and 23. Kentucky rushes 4. Hack underneath off the hands of Torrey Pierce. A throw a little behind him, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, and Kentucky now starting to feel it. You see it here, separating people from the ball. Safety's coming up, laying the wood. Louisiana had some momentum with that last scoring drive they had, and they did it primarily on the ground, making sure that they could methodically work it down the field. This time, I go back to that original play from Hack. Instead of him throwing out of bounds, he puts his team behind the chains because he takes the sack.
Coots to punt it away, the Australian, and the kick nearly blocked.
How in the world did he miss that?
It takes a Louisiana bounce, and down inside the 30. We check in with Brendan. What's coming up at halftime?
Anish, I'll be joined by Charles Arbuckle, and we now know the starting quarterback for Alabama because that game is underway. It's Jake Coker. We'll get you caught up on that, plus the rest of the action in the SEC. And how about a Hail Mary winner on the first Saturday in college football? That's coming up in a few minutes.
Quarterback mystery unraveled. Nick Saban going with Jacob Coker. Remember last year he kept it close to the vest and it was Blake Sims. The one year where it was Phillip Sims and A.J. McCarron down to the wire. McCarron ended up being the guy. That season turned out pretty well. Three-step drop, Tolles with time over the middle, and that's caught by Dorian Baker. A gain of 10. It's going to be a 1st down for Kentucky.
You're seeing an adjustment there from Louisiana on the back end. They've now pushed their their defensive backs off. They're standing about 6 or 7 off. Previously, they had been playing press man, now trying to give these wide receivers space.
So Kentucky elects to go on the ground. Boone Williams stumbles out of bounds. Got about 2, 2nd and 8. Shannon Dawson came over from West Virginia to be the offensive coordinator. He replaced Neil Brown, who took the head coaching job at Troy. And Dana Holgerson's offense, Dawson, part of his system that put up some prolific numbers. He's from that air raid tree. Kentucky fans remember Hal Mumme, the godfather of the air raid. Mumme coached here in Lexington in the late 90s. Had a pretty good quarterback, from what I remember. Tim Couch.
Indeed.
Tolles' pass incomplete. So now we're seeing the adjustment defensively by Louisiana in pass coverage.
Yeah, soft coverage. Now they're trying to keep things in front of them, and they're not giving up the big play. That was an adjustment that we saw they could have made early on, but I think the reason why they were hovering around the line of scrimmage was to try to prevent the rushing attack. After you give up 75 yards on the opening play, as a defense coordinator, the next thing you're thinking, I won't let that happen again. So they've now moved to soft coverage on the edges, and you can see here they're keeping things in front of them.
Now the challenge for Tolles to complete those mid-range passes. On 3rd down, Tolles to the air. Downfield, he's got Garrett Johnson. Johnson fights across the 40. And finally subdued at the 35-yard line. It's a gain of 26 for the sophomore.
Yeah, they really like Johnson. They like his speed, his explosiveness, and you'll see it here. Just a nice job catching the ball, running through a guy, and Johnson here making a name for himself.
His nickname is Juice.
I like it. He's got
known
the juice.
for yards after the catch.
Okay.
This receiving core has some nicknames. American Pharaoh, Juice, Blake Bone is Ghost.
Those are great.
Boom Williams, that's a pretty good nickname too. And Boom to the 32, a gain of 3. TJ Posey made the stop. A sophomore linebacker for Louisiana, who was a 4-star recruit out of high school. Posey, number 30 in white, actually said no to a number of SEC schools. Charles Walker into the game, slot receiver, bottom of your screen. Tolles hit as he throws it deep for Bidet. And maybe a step too far, 3rd and 7.
Yeah, they went back to press coverage on the edges, and they also brought the blitz, trying to get the pressure to him. Tolles recognized it once again. He knows where he wants to go. He gets the ball out of his hand quickly. But for the second time tonight, we've seen him overthrow his man instead of dropping it in there.
Now, these Kentucky receivers have beat their man a few times tonight, and now press coverage all across here on 3rd down. Kemp, the running back. Tolles checks down to JoJo Kemp. Kemp out of bounds, short of the 1st down. Pushed out by Tracy Walker. And now Ahmad on 4th and short. Do you go for it or do you kick?
Well, when you have one of the best kickers in the country, yeah, I think you send this unit out, you get your points, and you keep the momentum, and you put something on the scoreboard.
Austin McGinnis, first team all-conference a season ago. He's made 9 straight field goals. A make here would be a new school record. It's a 43-yarder. He was 8 out of 12 from beyond 40 last season.
It's like Stoops is going to call a timeout here.
He waits till the play clock got down to 1. Kentucky 1 timeout left. And we remind you, college football Sunday, indeed, from 8 a.m. to noon Eastern on ESPNU. We're on the air to recap a wild weekend. This weekend, I assume we're probably looking ahead to a big game on Monday as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to have some college football on Sunday. That you can go and kind of recap what's happening. And as you said, you know, in this particular case with the game on Monday, you get your chance to preview the defending national champions, Ohio State.
Brendan Fitzgerald, Charles Arbuckle in the studio. They've got you covered for halftime. Big game going on between Texas A&M and Arizona State. And how about this? Maybe a change of heart by Mark Stoops. Yeah, the field goal unit on. Now it's the offense on 4th and 1.
If Kentucky can convert here, these are those plays that break the will of a team. Louisiana had some momentum going. Can Kentucky grab it and pull it back to their sideline?
And now Mark Hudspeth uses his final timeout. And I believe that was actually the first time Kentucky lined up under center the entire game.
You may be right. And you know, that's one of those quarterback sneaks. You're about 2 yards out here, and they've got a tremendous amount of confidence in their offensive line, particularly, obviously, the preseason All-SEC number 70, Jordan Swindle, but the center, John Toth, is a tote, as they say, a young man that has a lot of responsibilities. He sets pass protection. He's responsible for keeping Patrick's jersey clean. He has to be an intelligent young man, but he's also somebody they feel comfortable running behind as a field goal unit comes back out on the field.
So a change of heart, perhaps. And McGinnis will come on now to kick a 43-yard field goal. Play clock down to 10. Kick by McGinnis is up. And it splits the upright, so Kentucky tacks on 3 more. The Wildcats, 302 yards of total offense in this first half. Almost 11 and a half yards per play. Our championship drive update is brought to you by Dr. Pepper, Georgia. Taking care of Louisiana Monroe, 51-14. Ole Miss dropping 76 on UT Martin. And the SEC off to a good start. 6-1 on this first weekend of the college football season.
Proving why they're one of the strongest conferences is you saw a lot of mismatches in terms of what the SEC product looks like on the football field versus the competition they were taking on. Setting up for another fine year here in this conference where you'll see teams rise to the top. There'll be some upsets. There'll also be some teams that stay at the top as we know them. Teams like Alabama, Auburn now in the mix with Jeremy Johnson there as the quarterback. So it should be another fun year of watching this conference.
The SEC East should be interesting. Florida, you're not quite sure what to expect. Jim McElwain there in his first year. Tennessee has had some injuries early, especially on that offensive line, but a proven quarterback in Dobbs. Georgia, the Virginia transfer, Grayson Lambert at quarterback. But they've got Nick Chubb, who might be the best running back in all of college football. And a pretty good defense.
No doubt.
Georgia, the favorite in the East. But Kentucky might have a chance to win at least 6, maybe more. Greg McElroy and Matt Stinchcomb on an SEC Network Kentucky preview show picked the Wildcats to win 8 games.
Yeah, and one of the things that Stoops and his staff talked about, in order for them to take that next step, they've got to have the depth to handle the grind of the SEC. So in a game like this where you're starting to see the score where Kentucky's getting momentum, they really want to be able to throw out some of their young players, get some valuable experience headed into conference play. For them to take that next step, they're going to need a lot of guys, 40 to 50 guys to play well.
Hack on first down finds Fuselier, who makes the catch at the 35, tackled immediately by Cody Quinn. It's going to be a little short of the first down. 2nd and short. Clock continues to run. Ragin' Cajuns out of timeouts. Sideline Fuselier again uses the stiff arm, and J.D. Harmon would not let him get out of bounds. It is enough for a first down, though. Clock momentarily stopped. And now starts on the official signal. Pressure off the edge. Hack's pass nearly intercepted. Caught by Fuselier off the deflection. Josh Allen, the true freshman from Montclair, almost had a pick 6.
Sure did. See it here. He just drops underneath in coverage. Excellent job of being the hook and curl defender. That's just bad luck right there. You're in the right position. You've got to finish those plays and put teams away. That's something that that Mark Stoops knows his team has to do.
Again, edge pressure. Incomplete. Harmon there to get in the way, and it's 3rd down.
He wasn't going to let it happen again.
So they've been targeting Fuselier here on this drive. 4 catches, 33 yards for the sophomore from Louisiana.
Yeah, and he's been lining up on the boundary side, which makes it a lot easier for him to get out of bounds.
Going downfield for Devin Smith. This one is intercepted. J.D. Harmon. And Kentucky gets the ball back with 1:01 to go in the half.
Yeah, this was good coverage. See the young man growing up tonight. Blitz pickup. Great job of the running back, giving the quarterback time. Those long arms and these lengthy cornerbacks that Kentucky continues to recruit. And that's where we were talking about at the open of the show. Long length to be able to challenge wide receivers, to be able to go up and get jump balls. And in a conference where there are top wide receivers, dominant jumpers, you've got to be able to have that. That time Harmon, a nice job of getting an interception at his highest point.
And Mark Stoops told us that is by design. They were looking for tall, physical corners that can be used in press coverage.
Yep.
Here's pressure from Tovell. Got a hand on Tolles. And Patrick Tolles loses 3 on the play. Could not get away from the rush. Kentucky with 1 timeout. They've only run 27 plays in this first half. I've averaged 11 yards per play. And I wouldn't rule out at least 1 shot deep. They've had success on the deep throws. Mikel Horton looking for some room. And he's to the 20-yard line. And let's see if Kentucky elects to take a 17-point lead into the locker room or call one more play.
Tackled by Briscoe and Walker. 3rd and 9 at the 20.
Tolles is going to throw. Heaves one downfield. And a little too far, intended for Dorian Baker. That takes us to halftime. In front of a sellout crowd, it's Kentucky with a 17-point lead. We now go to the studio. Brendan Fitzgerald and Charles Arbuckle for the college football halftime report.
Anish Ahmad, thanks so much. 24-7 is the score in favor of the
Dick's Sporting Goods kickoff week.
With Ahmad Brooks and Ishraff, Kentucky built a 17-point halftime lead on Louisiana, and in large part the Wildcats did it with chunk plays.
Yeah, it was big plays. I mean, you could see it. As here's what we're looking at right now. Big play over the top. As you see it, Boom Williams. Nice job of breaking through there. And when you're running the football that way, here's what you got. You're going to see man-on-man opportunities and the top middle of the field, single safety rolling over the top to Baker as we clear it. Tolles knows this. So what does he do? He looks off the middle of the field safety and goes to his man, Garrett Johnson, in the slot on a nice wheel route, explosive play. But once again, when the running game is working, you can do those types of things.
And look at the list of big plays, part of our game track brought to you by Taco Bell. About ready for the start of this second half. Kentucky won the toss and received the opening kickoff, so Louisiana will receive to start this third quarter here in Lexington. 61,000 plus, the first sellout in 5 years here at Commonwealth Stadium, and it's a refurbished Commonwealth Stadium. This place got a $126 million off-season facelift. It is now a state-of-the-art facility on par with the rest of the SEC facilities. Patrick Tolles, a big first half, 10 completions for 219 yards, 2 TDs, no turnovers. Gerald Brazil, the LSU transfer by way of East Mississippi Community College, back deep. He has world-class speed. And it'll be a touchback, Louisiana ball at the 25. At the top of the broadcast, we showed you this. This is Kentucky football in 2015. The packaging is nice. It's got a nice bow on it. Brand new, almost refurbished stadium. The question is, what's inside? What's the product like? Small sample size, 30 minutes of play. Any hints as to what's in here?
Big plays, and I think big play makers. I think that's what you saw in the first half. Boom Williams starting it off, Garrett Johnson. It's been a plethora of athletes that have been able to make big plays that lead to points. I know that's what people are expecting from Kentucky if they are going to compete in the SEC.
Torrey Pierce, the running back to start the second half for Louisiana. Hack in there at quarterback, making his second career start. And it's Pierce, picks up a couple, 2nd and 8, tackled by Reggie Mint, the defensive end.
Yeah, and they really like Mint as he continues to develop. He's more of a 3 technique, as Melvin Lewis is a 0 technique over the center. But they really like what Mint does. He eats up blocks, and he allows guys like Josh Forrest, the middle linebacker, to run freely.
Elijah McGuire now into the game. Play action. Hack chased by Jabari Johnson, gets away from pressure, throws it downfield, and Robinson could not hold on. He was covered by the true freshman corner, Chris Westry. No flag on the play. It's an incomplete pass. It was not a catch either.
Yeah, and Hack, as we said, he's not a guy that's a dual threat, but he buys time with his feet, puts it on the money to Robinson, as he just couldn't haul it in. But nice job there. Number 46 throwing that paw out there, getting it out. 46. Great, excellent job of raking the football out.
And that was actually Josh Forrest who got a hand in there. We were told Forrest, a linebacker, but he can cover guys. He's like a DB out there.
Former wide receiver.
Yep. Third down. Hack. High throw. Hauled in. Forrest on the stop. Catch made by Haynes. Short of the first down. And it'll bring up fourth down for Louisiana.
And that right there is what you see out of Forrest, is why this coaching staff trusts him. They say he was a former wide receiver, came in as a wide receiver, but they trust him because he's great in space. That time taking on a ball carrier, but you see the tackling ability, dropping him where he hit him. Fine job there by Forrest.
Yeah, he's not your typical middle linebacker, but he is the top returning tackler in the SEC. Stephen Coots to punt it away. Last one was nearly blocked. This one is a good one. Timmons makes the fair catch at the 25. Monday night on ESPN, number 1 and a defending champion Ohio State visits Blacksburg to take on Virginia Tech. Number of suspensions for the Buckeyes, including Joey Bosa, their All-American defensive end.
It hurts.
Will it make a difference?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, when you lose a leader in the middle, you feel like that. Not only his production, but as I talked about earlier, when you lose a big-time producer like that, you lose leadership. A guy a voice, someone who can stand up in the locker room, command attention, and people listen. So definitely I think that'll affect the outcome of the ball game.
Boom Williams in the backfield to start the third quarter for Kentucky. And Boom gets the call. Boom gets the edge. And Williams scampers out of bounds after a gain of 10 on a first down.
Yeah, Shannon Dawson said this is the kind of guy that makes every play call work. Very rarely do you see a back of his size be able to get positive yardage. He's hardly ever tackled behind the line of scrimmage, whether it's his elusiveness or his playmaking abilities. Boom does a fine job of getting back to the line of scrimmage.
He took the first play from scrimmage, 75 yards for his score to give Kentucky the early lead. Garrett Johnson in motion. Play action. Tolles has time. Goes to Johnson. Nice stutter step. And Johnson finally dropped at the 38-yard line after a gain of 3.
Yeah, he's got some wiggle, doesn't he?
That's why they call him Juice.
Indeed. And Shannon Dawson said this is also their gadget guy. They'll run him on sweeps, reverses. We haven't seen that today, but you can see his speed, his quickness, his agility, mobility. He's got all the things that you need for a slot receiver.
Second and 8 at the 38.
Tanner Fink, the backup fullback, into the game. There's Williams again, looking for room, and that time erased. Didn't get very far. Savion Brown with the stop. Tracy Walker there as well.
That defensive line there for Louisiana doing a fine job. Carmichael Dunbar to Boris Lee. Not a lot of running space in the middle of that line.
Remember, Louisiana without its top defensive back. Simeon Thomas out indefinitely with eligibility issues. He's their top corner, and they've missed him tonight. Press coverage all the way across on third down. The Tolles take a shot. Incomplete, fourth down. He wanted Badette, covered by Tremaine Lightfoot, who may have gotten a piece.
That's good coverage. That time they were able to stick with the wide receivers. We saw it in the first half. a lot of press man, which gave Tolles in this offense an opportunity to go over the top, blow off the top of coverage. Here, that's a great start for Louisiana to get off the field.
Well, here's an opportunity now for Elijah McGuire, who's been quiet tonight, waiting at his own 19. Landon Foster gets the punt off. McGuire lost it, and Kentucky able to recover.
Boy, does that hurt. McGuire with that line drive kick, you could just see him licking his chops with an opportunity to be able to run through that punt. It was almost blocked up front. As you watch here, look at this. I mean, he nearly missed it, and that's why they tell you to, with two hands, go cross those things. Make sure you don't have an open space.
Ahmad, how about the hustle by 59? That's Kelly Mason, the long snapper, recovering the muff punt.
Yeah, that's a great effort right there, and usually those guys release first after they snap, and a fine job of falling on the football.
Let's see if Kentucky comes with a haymaker on 1st and 10 after the turnover. Tolles going deep for Johnson. Well, the idea was to strike right off the turnover, and Tolles overthrew his man by just a little bit. +3 in the turnover category for Mark Stoops. So good in that department a season ago.
Yeah, and they've got to be able to protect the football, and you'd like to also think that Tolles, he's overthrown a few guys tonight. You don't expect to be able to do that when SEC play starts.
Louisiana crowding the box on 2nd down. And Mark Stoops may have seen something he didn't like, so he calls a timeout. 11:16 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Kentucky threatening from their own, or I should say from the Ragin' Cajun, 21. BC on ESPN with Ahmad Brooks and Ishraff, Lexington, Kentucky, and Commonwealth Stadium. After an off-season makeover, the hometown fans have liked what they've seen so far. The Wildcats up 17 and threatening. 2nd down and 10 from the 21 of Louisiana. Patrick Tolles, 11 completions for 222 yards so far.
And he's left some yards out on the field. That could be 300 plus.
Tolles throwing downfield, incomplete. He wanted Blake Bone, who was double covered.
Yeah, you could see Tolles not happy with himself there. I mean, he's got a clean pocket. Those are the types of throws that have to be routine, according to Shannon Dawson.
If you're Louisiana, do you change the scheme defensively and pass coverage, make Tolles beat you with the intermediate throws, which he had some inconsistency with last year?
Yeah, but not if he's overthrowing deep balls. Yeah. And at this point, it's working for him. They're getting it out of his hand quickly.
And they're close here, too. 3rd down. Tolles. High throw, and it's brought down. Terrific catch by Garrett Johnson. His 4th grab of the game, a gain of 14.
Yeah, just a corner out here, you'll see it. Nice job of setting up the safety. And Tolles didn't put the ball in the perfect location, but he put it where the wide receiver could catch it. Garrett Johnson making plays left and right all over the field tonight. Over the top, underneath. He's been a beast.
Kentucky going back to last year, 13 straight scores on red zone possessions. And we've got a whistle. I wonder if we got a timeout here. I'm being told they're going to review that last catch. Let's take one more look.
Looked like a catch to me. There he has it, secure. Oh, wow, okay. Does that right foot get completely in? It doesn't look like it. Here's a better angle. Nice job, camera crew. Left foot misses, the right foot looks out of bounds. I think they may be right. They may overturn this.
Yeah, this is a big play in the game. That was a third down completion. And if that's ruled incomplete, you're talking about fourth down. TJ Worthy made the play for Louisiana, senior from Gadsden, Alabama, who originally signed with Ole Miss. Watch that left foot. Does that come down out of bounds before that right foot touches
That is
in?
close. Wow, that's close.
Well, and here's the thing.
Tough call
if
to
the
make.
evidence is not indisputable, the call on the field stands. It defaults to the call that was made originally.
Absolutely.
That's why verbiage is so important when the officials tell you what they see. If they see confirmed, that means they can definitively say it was a catch. If you hear the ruling on the field stands, that means there just wasn't enough evidence one way or the other to overturn it. And I'm not sure that's indisputable evidence from the angles that we saw.
Well, in all fairness, I think you may be right.
Well, if you can lip read, Matt Austin said the ruling on the field stands.
And I think this comes back to what you just said, Anish. I just don't know if there's enough evidence here. One of the better angles here, does that left foot hit or is the right foot in bounds?
Right. Did that left foot touch inbounds before going out of bounds, or did the right foot hit inbounds before that left foot actually came out of bounds? Either way, first and goal for Kentucky.
Kentucky fans not complaining for sure.
Watch the matchup in the slot. You got 6'5" Blake Bone, number 6, on 5'10" Zachary DeGrange. It's Mikel Horton instead on the ground, and he doesn't get very far. Second and goal.
Yeah, and he's a young running back, but he'll learn that he's got to run behind his pads here. He's got to go north and south, and the tiptoeing behind the line of scrimmage is not the way to convince coaches that you're the short yardage guy.
Bone and Baker at the bottom of your screen out of the eye. It's Horton in the backfield. Play action. Tolles to the end zone. Incomplete, broken up by Troy McCollum. No flag, and it's third and goal.
Oh, yeah, this is a good play right here. I mean, this is when you know it is man-to-man down here. A nice job of staying close to the wide receiver, but the closing speed, the proper angle to go high. Look at the left hand securing the tackle, right hand shooting through the ball. That is a prime-time breakup right there by McCollum.
There is an injured Louisiana player. It is Jacoby Briscoe, who transferred to Lafayette following the 2012 season. Came over from Miami. And the 6'3", 325-pound junior walking off the field gingerly. Third and goal for Kentucky from the 7. They've got some size in that receiving core. Something over the top to a Baker or a Bone here?
Yeah, and Bone's outside here at the bottom of your screen. And this is an opportunity for a guy like him to really make a difference. It looks like it's man-to-man coverage. They're bracketing the guy in the slot. As you can see Bone here in the slot.
Tolles looking toward Bone, throws it that way, broken up by McCollum again. So 2 fine defensive plays by the sophomore from Miami.
Yeah, now he's playing ball. And when you make plays like this, this is when you get your confidence and your swag. When they go after you, they're trying to score points. Wide receiver all over his head against a larger Bone. And if you're a smaller defender, and I know this being a 5'8" corner playing at this level, they will pick on you at the red zone. So for him to come out, make 2 big plays in the end zone, take points away from this Kentucky offense, that's what you need to do to continue to impress the coach.
When you knew as a DB they were coming after you in these situations, how did you play it?
You play it like that. You try to make a play. I only gave up 2 touchdowns in my career, and you try to fight, and you do everything you can.
Field goal from 24 is good by McGinnis. Kentucky up 20.
ESPNU College Football Primetime is brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
But the season began not with a bang, but a boom.
I like it.
Stanley Boom Williams, 75 yards on the first play from scrimmage. Kentucky raced out to a 21-0 lead. Mark Stoops' team up 27-7 after a field goal by Austin McGinnis. Gerald Brazil, the speedster, back deep for Louisiana. And he's got world-class speed, but he does not have a chance. Ragin Cajuns will have it at the 25.
And speaking of a chance, if Louisiana is to come out and do something, they've got to rely on their guy, McGuire. As you mentioned, he was averaging 7.6 yards per carry and was third nationally. Tonight, 3.6. This Kentucky defense has really suffocated him. And if he is to break out right now, now's the time to do it, to show how dynamic he can be.
17 carries, 61 yards for the reigning Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. Back to the air on first down. Intercepted. Picked off by Westry, but there is a flag.
Almost had his first interception. Looked like pass interference there on Robinson. Got some jersey.
Pass interference. One. Ball will be placed.
Yeah, I have a feeling Mark Stoops, who's a former DB, won't really mind this too much. You've got a freshman who's competing with a top-notch receiver, Chris Westry. Fine young talent, long arms. He's got the frame to play that position. He's been aggressive all night, and if you think about it, he hasn't given up big plays. And so the one thing you wonder is, can this kid continue this down the stretch?
It's a true freshman in his first collegiate game. Screen to Fuselier. And Fuselier tackled by Forrest after a gain of 5. When Westry has been out on the field, he's been matched up a lot with Jamal Robinson, as you mentioned, a fifth-year senior, a guy who Mark Hudspeth and Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator, think will get drafted. It's a tall order for the 6'4 freshman. Gary Haynes in motion. 2nd and 5. McGuire close to midfield and close to a first down.
Here's a look at his rush chart tonight. You talk about the left side of the field, 25 yards. Up the middle, they have given up nothing. This Kentucky defense, anchored by Melvin Lewis, has been outstanding. And to the right there, only 5 yards. That's a fine job tonight of really containing one of the more dynamic players in college football.
Play action. Hat to the air. Open receiver downfield. It's McGuire. And inside the 10 before he's tackled by Jordan Jones. 1st and goal for Louisiana.
Well, they saw that, and they know that his production out of the backfield running the football, particularly up the middle, hasn't been good. So what do? You slip a guy out on a wheel route. You get him matched up on a linebacker. He's got the speed and the hands of a wide receiver. He played a lot of that last year. Big play for Louisiana.
He was the team's leader in receptions a season ago. Also led the team in rushing. Torrey Pierce looking for some room. Tripped up at the 7, a gain of 3.
Yeah, he just slips out of the backfield there, and you see him. He's matched up there on a linebacker. Gets over the top. Jones, the freshman, that's one of the first times he's been man-to-man with an athlete like that, and he'll see more of that in the SEC, but McGuire with a fine job getting over the top and securing the catch on a deep ball.
Pierce stays into the game here on 2nd and goal. Haynes in motion. Hack's going to keep it himself. And he's going to be just shy of the goal line. 3rd and goal from the 1.
That's the second time tonight that he's kept, and it's led to some positive yardage. He scored a touchdown on it earlier inside the red zone. With all the attention on the running game and the rushing attack of Louisiana, great play call from the offensive coordinator there, Jay Johnson.
3rd and goal from the 1, Hack in the shotgun. He'll keep it again. And this is going to be close, but it looks like he's short, and there is a flag. Josh Allen made the stop. True freshman from Montclair, New Jersey.
Full start, 79 offense. Penalty, repeat third down.
Well, that's the center, Eddie Gordon. You don't see a false start called on the center too often. Gordon came to Louisiana from NC State, transferred from Raleigh after Tom O'Brien was let go. So now it'll be 3rd and goal from the 6. Do you still entertain the idea of some kind of quarterback run-pass option here?
I think those 5 yards back you off of that play call. Now maybe something through the air. Try to find Robinson. I know this team looks for players on 3rd down, not necessarily schemes.
3 receivers to the field. Hack, pump fakes, and is sacked. Khalid Henderson got the quarterback, and it's 4th and goal.
That is a big-time play from this defense. Your back's up against the wall. You've got to bow up in the red zone. And that's what this defense did. They bring the blitz. You see it, a 5-man pressure right up the middle. And Hack was looking for Robinson in the back of the end zone on a skinny post. He actually got open late, but the pressure once again prevented him from having the time to find his target.
31-yard field goal attempt by Stevie Artigue. First attempt as a collegiate place kicker. The snap, the hold, the kick. And the Ragin Cajuns had the ball at the 1-yard line, but will have to settle for just 3.
Yeah, that's disappointing. I mean, you go back to Eddie Gordon and the 5-yard penalty, and you're that close. And, you know, I guarantee you they go for it on 4th and 1. I mean, they're going to try to punch that thing in because at the end of the day, you still are backing Kentucky up. And, you know, Hudspeth and his coaching staff right now are not very happy. Penalties like that, when they take points off of the board, are the things that drive coaches crazy.
Yeah, there have been a couple of big plays in this game. There was a penalty that you just saw. There was a turnover in the red zone when Jamal Robinson fumbled, and then Kentucky ended up driving 95 yards. We saw earlier a muff punt. A lot of self-inflicted wounds by a team that really didn't do that in this great 4-year run.
Well, they're a well-coached and disciplined team because of Mark Hudspeth. And I know at halftime, I'm pretty sure he went over with the guys, we've got to play more discipline. The good thing about this, if you're Louisiana, is it's week 1. The guys got jitters. Some new guys are getting an opportunity to play here tonight. You're playing in this beautiful stadium versus an SEC team. And so, rightfully so, some guys not necessarily being able to calm their nerves.
Ahmad, we hear this refrain every year. What's the biggest improvement a team makes through the course of the season? From week 1 to week 2. And there's a reason for that, because the depth chart from week 1 often does not resemble the depth chart from week 2.
Fair enough. Their guys are out here still fighting for their position.
Here's Saheem King, the speedy true freshman. He's got an opening and gets to the 34-yard line. Louisiana in the midst of the best 4-year run in school history. 2011 capped by a win in the New Orleans Bowl against San Diego State. Another New Orleans Bowl win in 2012 against ECU. Another New Orleans Bowl win against Tulane in 2013. And last season, Big Easy again, a 16-3 victory against Nevada. This team had never won a bowl game prior to Mark Hudspeth's arrival. 36 wins in Hudspeth's 4 years. The only thing they don't have is a win against a Power 5, 0-8. But against their own weight class, 36-8 in the last 4 years.
That's domination.
Tolles to throw, under pressure, and he's sacked. That's Dominique Tovell, a senior linebacker and a 2-time all-conference selection.
Yeah, there he is, the impact player. Didn't show up until the 3rd quarter with a big sack, but you see him here rushing off of the edge. First an offensive tackle, showing his speed, his ball get off, and his ability to bring the quarterback down.
JoJo Kemp bounces to the outside, Kemp across midfield and driven out by T.J. Worthy after another big pickup, 32 on the play.
That is exactly what Kentucky needed. See it here just right up the middle. I mean, a power. And he bounces it out, and the rest is history. He picks up some blocks on the outside from the wide receivers. And did you see who was out in front? Number 18. Boom! Williams leading the block there for JoJo Kemp. I have a feeling they'll have a good time watching that in the film room.
Kemp was the team's leading rusher in 2013 as he is just derailed by Tovell. Kemp was a guy who had people around him telling him maybe he should consider transferring. Injuries have taken a bit of a toll on him, but he stuck it out. And last year during Kentucky's biggest win of the season against South Carolina, he was the offensive hero, 130 yards and 3 touchdowns in the great Wildcat fourth quarter comeback.
Comes the blitz.
Perfect call, it's a draw. Boom Williams taken down inside the 10 by Savion Brown. 38 more.
Perfect play call, as you said, Anish. 6-man pressure. Actually, that's 7. They've got a guy in just about every gap. And the timing of it. You could see Toll saw it opened up. And Boom Williams, the guy who can get to the second level as fast as anybody in college football, once he gets there, he accelerates and shows that top-end speed.
Boom gets a breather. 8 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. And now with runs of 75 and 38 on the resume. Kemp into the game on 1st and goal. And a timeout by Kentucky. They've got 1 left here in this second half. .351 to go here in the third. The Wildcats going for the knockout.
ESPN, home of the college football playoff.
College football is back, and this season for Kentucky, a lot of anticipation, new look stadium, a more experienced core, 14 returning starters, and that optimism only buoyed by what we've seen through 2+ quarters so far. The Wildcats with a 1st and goal from the Louisiana 5. JoJo Kemp in the backfield. Tolles, end zone, touchdown, Blake Boone. Ahmad, there is a lot to like with this young Kentucky receiving core.
Yeah, but it started with the running back there on an excellent play call there from Dawson as Boom Williams almost gets it in, but they come back. They've been taking advantage of man-to-man opportunities on the edges all night, and there you see it. Bone, the big, large frame, that is what you're supposed to do if you're that big. You shield off defensive backs, but it was actually a nice slant route that busted him open and allowed him to score that touchdown.
Point after, no good. That's 33-10. Bone is going to get some looks in the red zone. 6'5", 210. And now, Ahmad, the question for Louisiana. Mark Hudspeth kept it close to the vest really up until this week about who would start at quarterback, really up until game time. He let his QBs know earlier in the week. Brooks Hack beat out Jalen Nixon. Hack has been okay so far. You're down by 23. Do you entertain the thought of giving Nixon a chance here if the quarterback competition was as close as we were led to believe?
Certainly entertain it. You know, I don't know where Nixon is in terms of his throwing ability. When I hear the coaching staff talk about him, he seems more of a guy who the strength of his game is his running abilities. And if that's the case and you're down by this margin, you've got to keep the better passer in. And I think at this point Hack is. But if you need a spark or you want to see what this guy is made of going into next week before you decide who's starting, I think now or the beginning of the fourth quarter is a time when you throw him out there and see what this kid is made of.
The Louisiana coaches told us if Hack struggled, they would have no hesitation pulling the trigger. I wouldn't say Hack has struggled, but maybe Nixon's a guy who can give you a little bit of a spark. Fuselier from the 6. Across the 20. Slowed by Harmon and then swarmed at the 26-yard line, a 20-yard return. Well, 2 running backs came in with a reputation for being home run hitters. Elijah McGuire's been held in the park. Boom has had a couple of big knocks.
He's been the guy tonight, and the numbers show that. His production, only 8 touches, but you see what he's able to do. McGuire with 10 more touches at this point in the game. But I'll say this too. Williams does benefit from having some large bodies up front and a very aggressive SEC-style offensive line, and they've really opened up some holes for him tonight.
4 returning starters up front for Kentucky. Hack comes out to start this drive, and the give to McGuire for a short gain. Louisiana up front has had remarkable consistency and some luck as well. In Mark Hudspeth's 4 years in Lafayette, no starter on the offensive line has missed a start.
I don't know if I've ever heard that. That's just an amazing stat, and they've been very fortunate.
Michael Quave, whose brother Daniel was a 4-year starter. Michael has started 40 straight. Jamal Robinson driven out of bounds by Kendall Rudolph after a gain of 5. 3rd and 3. Robinson hurt his foot in the 5th game last year. Missed the rest of the season. Was able to get a medical red shirt and a 5th year of eligibility. He's the main threat in this Ragin' Cajun passing game. 5 catches, 55 yards this evening. And there is Jalen Nixon on 3rd and 2. This may just be situational. Fuselier in motion. Nixon will keep it and plows ahead for a first down. And now Brooks Hack looked like he was about to come back in, now heads back to the sideline. So it appears Nixon will stay in.
Yeah, I think this is the right decision at this point. Just want to see if this kid can do more than what you expect him to do, which is be able to convert those 3rd downs in short. He can run the football. Can he pass it enough to keep them in the ball game?
McGuire to the 44-yard line, brought down by Jabari Johnson. We've called 47's name quite a bit for Kentucky. He's been active.
And the linebackers for Kentucky, they really believe that's one of their greatest strengths. They've got guys there that are very athletic, and as they move to this 3-4, they're going to really be hoping that these guys can blossom and that they reach their full potential.
Yeah, they need a couple of guys to come back. Ryan Flanagan out with a shoulder injury. Jason Hatcher suspended for the first 2. So you have seen some true freshmen out there. You saw Jordan Jones. There's Torrey Pierce. And Pierce with a straight path to the end zone. 5, touchdown, Louisiana, 56 yards. So it's not McGuire with the game-breaking play, but his understudy, Torrey Pierce.
And that was a nice run. Yeah, he got in the middle of the defense. The offensive line created some space, and he really put on the burners towards the back end of that run, leaving defenders in the dust.
Well, now that missed extra point looms large if Louisiana converts this PAT. Still, it's a 2-score game,
yep.
2-possession game.
You see Stoops there, still coaching. And at this point in the game,
kick is good by Artigue.
Yeah, just watch the space here. It's this offensive line for Louisiana as this rolls. You'll see them here. I mean, they just put their weight down. Double team on Melvin Lewis. He gets caught on the backside, and he just squeezes through that hole, and the rest is history with some fine speed on the back end. But you see it here. Look at that. Hole just opens up. And he nearly goes untouched. I think one guy got a hand on him, and he opened it up. And Louisiana gets a spark.
Pierce with 61 yards rushing tonight. 43 all of last season. And he's had to take out a little bit of a bigger role in this game. Ephraim Reed is the normal third down back for Louisiana. He's out with a shin injury, as we told you in the first half. And Louisiana within 2 possessions and 2 scores, down 16. So it would take 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions. And also Mark Hudspeth needs his defense now to hold Kentucky.
Yeah, these are the moments where you really find out early on what your team's made of. Will they fight? Will they back down? Will they stand out here and bow their backs and decide that they're not going to go out this way? They've shown at times that they can compete with Kentucky.
Short kick by Artigue. Harmon across the 30, full head of steam. He's got midfield. Harmon still going. Ball comes out, and it goes out of bounds. So Kentucky will keep it. College football Sunday. We come your way at 8 a.m. on ESPNU. Go all the way until noon. We'll recap Saturday's big games. This week we're going to look ahead a little to Monday as well, but this is going to be a weekly occurrence. Your football fix on Sunday before the NFL gets going.
I'm going to be up. Yeah, and I know you will be too. Got to watch it.
Gonna have to push back Sunday brunch with wifey. I mean, watch college football Sunday, then we'll go. Just get back for the 1 o'clock NFL games.
Easy, easy, big fella.
Nice return by J.D. Harmon has set up Kentucky. So just when the pendulum swung Louisiana's way, it swings violently back in the opposite direction. Ball on the 28 of the Ragin' Cajuns. Horton the back. There's the pressure. Screen pass. It's tipped and nearly intercepted. Big number 96. Blaine Winston got his Jaguar paw on it.
Oh, he's going to want this one back. I mean, here it is. Once again, they're trying to slow down this rush. Another great play call by Dawson. He caught him on the blitz, but the big paw up. Oh, man. That would have been another momentum shifter for this Louisiana team.
Second and 10. Tolles keeping it, driven out by Tovell for a loss.
And that's one of the things that we did not see out of Tolles tonight, but in speaking to this Kentucky staff, they really believe that he's an athletic quarterback that can have some design runs, plays where they put him out in space and try to protect him, but at the same time use him as an option on the ground.
Some of the backup receivers getting a look here. TV Williams and Thaddeus Snodgrass lined up on the outside. Johnson in the slot. Now Horton and Kemp go wide. Out of the empty set. 4-man rush. Tolles gets to the 30, and somebody got his face mask on the way down. Might have been a design to get back into field goal range. McGinnis with outstanding range. It was a holding call against Kentucky. Louisiana declines the penalty, so 4th down coming up from the 31. And here comes McGinnis. I'm not sure I would have declined that. Do you back them up?
With this type of weapon, you may be right here and give your defense an opportunity to try to hold them on a 4th and long.
McGinnis is a guy who was 8 of 12 from beyond 40 last year. This is a 46-yarder. He hit 3 last year from beyond 50, including a school record 54-yarder. McGinnis's kick is up, and he missed it. So Mark Hudspeth knows what he's doing.
Sure does.
Kick no good. So McGinnis has missed an extra point and a field goal. One of the more reliable kickers in the SEC.
And give the defense for Louisiana credit. You give up a big return, and then all of a sudden they come back, and despite having some issues, they managed to get off the field and give the ball back to their offense. And that was something you said. Can this defense come out here and stop them, keep them in the game? And they certainly did.
So now Louisiana has it just inside of their own 30. 9 seconds to go here in the third quarter, and Jalen Nixon back at quarterback for the Ragin' Cajuns. Trips to the right on 1st and 10. Allen bringing pressure off the edge. Nixon runs it the other way. Nice gain of about 7.5 before he's driven out of bounds by A.J. Stamps.
You heard defensive coordinator for Kentucky, Elliott, talk earlier in the week about the ability to be able to set the edge. Nixon is a nightmare. Anytime he gets outside, he's as fast and as quick as DBs, and he can certainly pick up positive yardage.
That brings us to the end of the third quarter. Louisiana hasn't folded just yet. The Ragin' Cajuns still have a pulse. 15 minutes to go in regulation. We're back for the fourth quarter. We witnessed a heartwarming moment on the field just seconds ago. A group of Kentucky Special Olympians ran out of the tunnel. They got their own entrance with the smoke and all, and the Kentucky players came right up to them, gave them high fives and hugs. These Special Olympians, guests of Kentucky head coach Mark Stoops. And really just a really cool moment to witness during the course of a game.
Yeah, and a lot of times this means more to the players. You know, my time at Texas, Mac Brown kept us involved in the community, doing various things at Dell's Children's Hospital, whatever. And I always felt like I got more out of it going there. It just teaches you and really helps you recognize how privileged you are to be able to come and play the sport every day that you love.
Yeah, the group of Special Olympians were here in Lexington just a few weeks ago, and Mark Stoops surprised them by telling them they would be his personal guests at Kentucky's home opener, season opener, and this refurbished Commonwealth Stadium against Louisiana.
Yeah, they'll never forget it.
No. Meanwhile, Louisiana still kicking. Down by 2 scores. Start of the fourth quarter, 2nd and 1. Backup quarterback Jalen Nixon has assumed the reins of this Ragin' Cajun offense. Nixon hands it off. Elijah McGuire tackled by Reggie Ment. 3rd down.
Yeah, but just having Nixon as a running threat, that time you saw safety for Kentucky, number 22, Khalid Henderson, that's actually a linebacker on the quarterback. So anytime Nixon is in the game, you have to account for him and his running abilities.
McGuire picks up a 1st down.
McGuire on the carry.
They just go right up the middle there. McGuire, as I said earlier, put on 15 pounds in the offseason. Might have slowed him down a bit, but it really does. The coaching staff is hoping that it makes him durable, where he's able to carry the bulk of the carries out of the backfield for this team, but also pick up plays like that on short yardage.
Nixon to throw, and that's caught by Fuselier. A gain of 8, 2nd and 2.
We may have a quarterback competition. Nixon there, nicely timed throw and put it in the right location. He anticipated the throw, threw it where only the wide receiver could catch it. And he's got this offense moving right now.
McGuire 76 yards on the ground on the left hip of Nixon. Now scoots behind the quarterback. McGuire up the middle, and he's got a first down for the Ragin' Cajuns, tackled by big boy Matt Elam, number 69.
And that's 2 consecutive carries right up the middle for McGuire, who we showed you earlier hasn't had success in the middle of the field. Last 2 carries up the middle, though, have been successful and moved the chains.
Louisiana Lafayette has run 66 plays thus far. Kentucky 47. Still plenty of ball to be played. Nixon flushed across midfield and pushed out of bounds at the 46-yard line by Denzel Ware. And there is a flag. This might be a late hit on Kentucky.
Personal foul on the defense. 15-yard penalty. Stop.
Yeah, and this is the biggest threat when you have a running quarterback. He gets outside the pocket, everything covered up, and this is just a silly play. He's clearly on the white there. Coaching staff certainly in the face of the linebacker, letting him know, hey, you just can't make those types of plays and continue to extend drives for Louisiana Lafayette.
Ragin' Cajuns trailed 21-0. They've never led. It's a 16-point game, 12:37 to go here in the fourth. This Louisiana Lafayette outfit 1-61 all time against current members of the SEC. And Pierce pushes ahead to the 26. That one win for Mark Hudspeth's team, well, it wasn't Mark Hudspeth's team back then. One win for this program against current members of the SEC, 1996 against Texas A&M, who obviously back then was not a part of the Southeastern Conference. The quarterback for Louisiana Lafayette back then, Jake Delhomme.
Okay. Who's in the house tonight, I'm told,
Yeah, we're told
correct?
he is here in attendance tonight. Pierce again makes a couple of moves. Torrey Pierce with his second touchdown, and we've got a ball game.
Oh, my. I think Louisiana Lafayette has found their backup and another option. Pierce with 2 fine runs up the middle for distance.
You're down by 10, 11:39 to go.
You go for it here.
You go for 2.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. You've got the momentum on your side. You've got a quarterback that's a dual threat that really puts pressure on the defense. I think now's the time to try to get the 2-point conversion.
And Nixon has given this team a spark.
Indeed.
Haynes, the slot receiver. Nixon rolling to his right, moves the pocket, throws on the run. He's got McGuire, and it's an 8-point game.
Yeah, that was just a fine play. You see the touchdown here. Right up the gut of this Kentucky defense. Nice move. A little wiggle in the back end. And then they have the audacity to go for 2. They roll out, find McGuire, 25-33.
An 8-play, 69-yard drive culminated with Torrey Pierce's second touchdown of the game. A 2-point conversion good, and it is a 1-score game in Lexington, and there is plenty of time left on the clock.
Yeah, and who would have thought that Torrey Pierce would have a better night tonight than Elijah McGuire? But he's really provided them a spark in the last 2 drives, and I also think it has to do with Nixon's running ability.
Yep.
Really is forcing the defense to account for him in the running game.
Saeem King from his own end zone. He's to the 20-yard line. Let's take a look at Kentucky's offense in the first half. 303 total yards, only 93. It stands at number 2. What adjustment did the Ragin' Cajuns make?
Well, I just think they were getting off the field, and they weren't giving up the big play. We saw 2 opportunities where Kentucky took shots in the end zone, but the secondary stood tall and prevented them from scoring touchdowns. And I think that's been the difference in the second half. Louisiana Lafayette has found playmakers, guys that are willing to compete with Kentucky and fight hard.
If Louisiana Lafayette can come back here, you'll point to a couple of moments. One, a big holding penalty against Kentucky, which forced Austin McGinnis to take a 46-yard field goal. That was no good. And then secondly, Jalen Nixon giving this team a spark at quarterback in relief of Brooks Hack. Tolles will throw. Downfield, open receiver, and it's intercepted. Tracy Walker. And the Ragin' Cajuns have it in Kentucky territory.
Flag on the play.
There's a flag back at the 25 of Kentucky.
Following the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, 99 of the receiving team, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's the junior, Romaine Douglas.
Yeah, and Louisiana Lafayette has now gone to soft coverage. They're off on the edges, but look at the offensive line for Kentucky here. He's got 5-6 yards between him and a defender for Louisiana Lafayette. And on the outside, excellent route. He gets on the toes, of course, of the defensive back. He had him beat by a mile. And that's one of those plays where if you're Patrick Tolles, you've got to lay that thing out and let speed go get it.
Tracy Walker was on the All-Sun Belt freshman team a season ago, had 2 picks last year. First turnover for Kentucky.
Big play.
And now these Ragin' Cajuns have a shot. Haynes on that jet sweep, tackled from behind at the 35 by Khalid Henderson.
And it looks like Haynes has kind of occupied the role tonight that McGuire had a year ago. They like to keep him around the line of scrimmage. He's a quick, fast, shifty player, and he has proven tonight to be their gadget guy.
A gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Nixon with time, finds Fuselier, slips a tackle across midfield, finally brought down by Stamps at the 42 of Kentucky, a gain of 23.
Yeah, he's in good rhythm. Jalen Nixon back there, fine job of looking to his right first. He comes back to the left side of the field, finds the wide receiver, throws the ball inside. He threw the wide receiver open with the location he threw that pass in.
Pierce comes in for McGuire on 1st and 10. Play action. Nixon under pressure. He'll tuck it and run across the 40 and sidesteps out of bounds. Well, they'll mark him out at the 40, so only a gain of 2.
It's only a gain of 2, but it should have been a sack. He's extending plays with his feet.
Nixon, a true dual threat quarterback like Brooks Hack, a 4th-year junior, and he has the keys. Corner blitz, Pierce up the middle, and Torrey Pierce a yard shy of the first down, a gain of 7, and he's closing in on 100 yards rushing.
Yeah, and this defense is tired. You know, sudden change, as they call that, when you have a turnover. You just give up a scoring drive where you're gassed, and now you're back out on the football field with your backs against the wall on a big 3rd down right here. Look for Louisiana Lafayette to put it back on the ground and in Nixon's hands.
They'll give it to McGuire. Spin move and a first down.
That was a sweet spin move right there. Watch this. I mean, man. Now you see me, now you don't. It's like trying to catch a feather in the wind right there. Joey McGuire showing his ability to evade defenders.
That's a B-button move right there.
No question about it. I hate that move, by the way.
26 touches now for Elijah McGuire. They feed McGuire again. Zigzags his way to the 25. A gain of 5, and it's second down and 5.
Yeah, they're going right up the middle. And they're not apologizing right now for taking advantage, full advantage of a worn-down defensive front for Kentucky. They've been out on the field a lot this second half, and that's the reason why you're seeing this score and the gap close, as Louisiana Lafayette certainly has the momentum on their side.
A lot of hands on hips.
Yes, sir.
A lot of heavy breathing. Haynes in motion. Pierce runs into a wall of blue, brought down by Ware, 3rd and short. And with that run, Pierce over 100 yards. And look what they've done on the last 3 drives. All that's missing from Mark Hudspeth's resume as the head coach in Lafayette is a win against a Power 5 school. 0 for 8. Kentucky crowds the box. Nixon's going to keep it. Gets a big block from Byrd, and he's gone! The Ragin' Cajuns, a 2-point conversion from tying this game.
I don't think there's a quarterback competition now. Jalen Nixon has led this team convincingly. And what about the block on the outside? Fantastic.
That was the tight end, Nick Byrne. Opened the gates for Nixon. And now a 2-point conversion with 7:36 to go here in the 4th. Nixon gives it to McGuire around the edge, and we are tied.
Oh my, wow. What a charge by the Ragin' Cajuns. And a fine play call by offensive coordinator Jay Johnson. Fantastic. Louisiana Lafayette back in this thing, and here's how they did it. The lead block by the tight end. Wow. Nixon breaks through. And then the creativity, the trick play to McGuire. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tie ball game.
The Ragin' Cajuns with a little homage to Lady Liberty for the tie.
Yeah, truly, this was special. And if you're going to get in the end zone, this is how you do it. Watch the old Statue of Liberty. Old play fake like he's throwing it to the outside. Just enough to hold the defenders in and allow McGuire to hit the edge and punch in the 2-point conversion.
It was a 33-10 game. At one point in the second half, 23 unanswered by the Ragin' Cajuns over the last 8 minutes and 40 seconds. And Mark Hudspeth's team now with a chance to beat a current member of the SEC for just the second time in school history. And Hudspeth looking for that first win against a Power 5 as the head coach for Louisiana Lafayette. Boom Williams back deep on the kickoff. Williams can't handle it clean. And that will be a touchback. So what sort of answer does Big Blue have down the stretch?
Yeah, and when talking to Mark Stoops yesterday, he made this point. He said, for us to take the next step, we've got to be able to finish ball games. Now's another opportunity in a close game What will they do? How will they respond? Yeah, they had a convincing lead, and all of a sudden things start to fall apart. Louisiana Lafayette started playing much better defense, consecutive scoring drives, and a tie ball game. Can Kentucky come back out here in their front of their home crowd and finish this ball game?
The last drive ended with an interception. Kentucky has missed an extra point and a field goal in this game. Tolles will throw behind Dorian Baker. Bracket coverage, 2nd and 10.
Yeah, it was also soft coverage. We kept talking about those adjustments. You've got to give Louisiana Lafayette credit. Defensive coordinator Melvin Smith was giving up the big plays in the first half. He's now backed his corners off. They're about 5 to 6 yards off, playing soft coverage, keeping things in front of them.
Tolles has struggled with those intermediate throws. There's Garrett Johnson. Taken down at the 30, a gain of 5. So a big 3rd down coming up for Kentucky as we come up on 7 minutes to play in regulation. The Ragin' Cajuns trailed by 23 in the second half. In the flat, Johnson can't hang on. Broken up by Zach DeGrange.
Wow, that was excellent. Kentucky trying to go with tempo, speed it up, confuse the defense, but just a fantastic individual effort to get out there, break the ball up, and rake the ball right out of Johnson's hands. Now they're about to punt. Kentucky's about to punt with Louisiana Lafayette an opportunity with 7 minutes to go here to actually go up. What a fantastic game here.
Elijah McGuire waits at his own 30. Foster's kick sends McGuire back to the 20. A fair catch made. At halftime, this was Mark Hudspeth's message to his team.
Okay, we get the ball to start the second half. Let's take it down the field. Take it down the field, punch it in, 24-14. Keep plugging, keep holding the rope, keep making plays. We're going to climb back in this game. All right? They know this game ain't over. Okay? We didn't settle down. Now let's make plays in the second half. See you, coach. Let's get ready to go.
All the momentum on the side of the boys from Lafayette, Louisiana.
Yeah, and the energy there. He made his players believe. You know, it's very easy for a coach and players to go into a shell when things aren't going your way. Mark Hudspeth leading his team the right way.
Backup quarterback Jalen Nixon hands off to Elijah McGuire, who's wrapped up at the 22. Tackle made by Melvin Lewis. Well, a lot of fans in the end zone to the right of our broadcast position already filed out. They thought the game was in hand. It was 33-10 at one point in the second half. And if they're watching at home or on the Watch ESPN app or listening on the radio in the car, they're Kentucky fans. Maybe they're glad they left. McGuire again. There's Melvin Lewis. The colossal senior from Compton, California. The Ragin' Cajuns' only win in school history against a Power 5, 96 against Texas A&M with Jake Delhomme at quarterback. Torrey Pierce into the game on 3rd and 10. Gary Haynes in motion. Blitz picked up. Nixon underneath to Haynes. And he is stopped well short of the first down marker. Kentucky's defense with a big hold.
Yeah, they answered the call, and 3 and outs on the defensive side. Those are as good as turnovers. You put the ball back into the hands of your offense with an opportunity for them to go down and score and finish off this ball game.
The Ragin' Cajuns were a 17-point underdog. They fought back in the second half to tie the game at 33, but now punting away with less than 5 minutes to go in the fourth. Fair catch signal by Ryan Timmons. He makes it at the 37-yard line. Late drama in Lexington. Don't go anywhere. You need to get the Watch ESPN app. If you don't have it, you can stream every game live or at home or on the go. Just download the Watch ESPN app or visit watchespn.com. 48 games on the ESPN networks over Labor Day weekend. This one looked to be over not long ago. It was 33-10 Kentucky in the third quarter, and then the Ragin' Cajuns responded with 23 straight, a couple of touchdowns punctuated by a pair of two-point conversions, some missed opportunities for Kentucky. The Wildcats missed a field goal and an extra point in this second half.
Yeah, the last three possessions, missed field goal, interception, punt. This Louisiana Lafayette defense has answered the call.
Horton and Boom Williams on each hip of Patrick Tolles. The fourth-year junior, 15 out of 32, 245 yards, 3 TDs, and a pick. Here's Timmons, engulfed by Dominique Tovell back at the 40. It's a loss of about 4.
Look, those are the types of plays that get you drafted. I mean, look at the angle at the top of your screen there. You see Tovell, a nice job of keeping his body square. He recognized the play, which allowed him to be able to run to the football sideline to sideline, tracking down a wide receiver. That was a mighty fine play.
Tovell came into this game with almost 160 career tackles. Tolles with time over the middle, juggled, and it's incomplete, intended for Timmons. The pass defense has been exponentially better in the second half for Louisiana Lafayette.
Agreed. That time, TJ Worthy separating the wide receiver from the ball. These guys haven't given up on plays, and to be an outstanding defensive back. Look, you're going to get beat sometimes at the line of scrimmage. You're going to find guys who've got great skill that will beat you. But don't give up on the play, and that's exactly what these DBs are doing for the Ragin' Cajuns.
Third and long. Tolles over the middle. That's Charles Walker reaching for that first down marker, and this will be close. He got a good spot.
Looks to be a tad bit short from here, but
they're going to measure to make sure. There's 3:37 left. This Kentucky defense is gassed. If Walker is short, is going for it on the table.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I definitely think you go for it here, and especially when you have an offensive line that throughout the course of the game has proven just a tad bit short here, that has proven early on that they were controlling the line of scrimmage. And you see here, Tolles back out on the field. Kentucky looks like they're ready to go for it.
What's the call, Ahmad?
Yeah, well, you keep it short. I don't think you move much from the line of scrimmage. Perhaps a quarterback sneak here with this type of distance. A fullback, maybe you give it to a fullback on a dive. But as you can see, even the running backs right now are hugging the line of scrimmage. Whatever this play will be, it'll happen fast.
Tolles is 6'5". He can just fall forward.
Did he fumble the snap?
I thought he may have fumbled it. I couldn't tell. The Ragin' Cajuns saying he didn't get it. It looked like he lost it, but they say Kentucky has enough for a first down. We got to see a replay there.
Wow.
I think you could read his lips. Did he say fumble there?
Yeah. Tolles, who you said earlier, doesn't take a lot of snaps from under center, something he doesn't do regularly.
Huge 4th down conversion, 3:15 to go. And remember, Kentucky's kicker, who has not had his best day today, can drill one from beyond 50 with ease. Boom Williams to the 44. Let's take one more look at that 4th down play if we can.
Yeah, he looked like he just pulled out of there.
Recovers.
Tolles, you've got to stay in underneath the center. The most important part to a quarterback sneak, this center and quarterback exchange.
And that center is one of the best in the country, John Toth. A 2-year starter there, a candidate for the Remington Award, which goes to the best center in college football. Wildcats bleeding a little clock. Play clock at 5. On the ground to Boom Williams. Reverses field. Williams slips away from Worthy and finally shoved out of bounds by Savion Brown. There is a penalty marker.
Personal foul, face mask, 11 defense. 15-yard coverage near the run, automatic first down.
Boom, making something out of nothing, reversing the field. With smaller guys,
Watson.
I can tell you this, with smaller guys, that tends to happen more. You know why? When they get low, they don't give you a lot to hit. That time he goes high, didn't go low, and you saw what happened. Now, Kentucky with an opportunity here to finish this ball game.
That is a game changer. Ball now inside the 25. JoJo Kemp, the deep back. Kemp running right side. And a great tackle in the backfield by Tracy Walker. Walker's had a nice game, an interception earlier.
Fine job by the safety playing in space.
The Ragin' Cajuns with 3 timeouts. Kentucky with 1. Tolles going to the air. Baker fell down. And there's a flag.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 6. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
It's Savion Brown.
2 costly penalties.
And now it's another first down for Kentucky. And they can run the ball, maybe set up a field goal. And if you're Mark Hudspeth, now do you start thinking about using some of these timeouts?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I mean, if you want to preserve some time on the clock, and if you're Kentucky, you want to run the football to make them use those timeouts.
So the ball now at the 14. Kentucky can still get another first down. Here's Kemp. Ankle tackle that time. And we've got a timeout. Tremaine Lightfoot on the spot. Mark Hudspeth stops the clock with 1:03 to go in regulation. Kentucky in the red zone.
Their first time out of the half.
Wow.
Kentucky jumped out to a 21-0 lead. The Wildcats led 33-10 in the second half, and then Louisiana Lafayette scored 23 unanswered to tie. The Wildcats on this drive aided by a 4th down conversion and a couple of big penalties that resulted in first downs. The penalties against the Ragin' Cajuns. 2nd and 8 from the 14. Horton Gets a block from his fullback around the edge and tracks the defender and scores.
The second half for Kentucky offense hadn't been all that great. But when you can finish a game like this, it gives you a bright spot to build on. 9-play drive, 58 yards. They eat up 3 minutes and 40 seconds on the clock. And that time, the right play call. They caught Louisiana Lafayette as the corner was blitzing, something they've done all night tonight. Didn't set the edge, find a safety high. The rest is history.
TJ Worthy got bulldozed by Mikael Horton, the 6'1", 230-pound running back out of Westchester, Ohio.
Yeah, a corner blitz there. He contained it, but it wasn't enough. And that time, just JoJo Kemp lowering the hat, running through people. Pardon me, Horton there, running through people. Fine job of finishing off the run. And we talked to this coaching staff. They believe that they've got a little bit of lightning and some boom, if you will. And they've got guys that can break the big play, but they've also got guys that can get you a victory when you need it and milk the clock methodically.
Yeah, Horton is certainly a Thunder guy. Not over yet. Mark Hudspeth still has 2 timeouts in his back pocket. 57 seconds to go. And crazier things have happened today. Just ask Nebraska.
Yeah, that was one of those finishes of a lifetime. And you look at what Kentucky has done in the red zone. They haven't done a lot of things right today, and they'll go back and they'll adjust those things. But in the red zone today, 3 for 3, all touchdowns, and they got one when they needed it most.
Kentucky last year gave up 4 return touchdowns. Fuselier, the deep man for Louisiana Lafayette. Fuselier from the 3. Has the 15, looking for room, spun around, and dropped at the 22-yard line. 50 seconds to go in regulation. The Ragin' Cajuns have 2 timeouts.
It looks like they're bringing Hack back into the ball game. Obviously the better passer of the 2, Nixon, is responsible for getting his team back in this game, but Hack, the bigger, stronger arm, is in here for the final minutes.
Nixon engineered the comeback, but you're right. Hack, a much stronger arm. Four-man rush. Hack underneath to Haynes, and he gets out of bounds. That'll stop the clock with 45 seconds to go. Haynes, a true freshman, 7 catches in his collegiate debut.
If you're Kentucky, they've got young players in the back end that might not have been in these situations. They've got to protect the boundary and try to keep guys in bounds.
Kentucky in a 3 deep. Hack's pass broken up by Josh Forrest. He is a great cover linebacker.
Yeah, he is, and not only that, he's very instinctive, and his time at wide receiver, you see him there just fall underneath the route. Great eyes. You know, they always tell you the quarterback's going to throw to the receiver, not to you. That time doing a nice job of getting close and then looking and making a play.
Cajuns 7 of 17 on 3rd down. 4-man rush. Hack underneath. That's caught by McGuire, short of the first down, and he stayed in bounds, so the clock continues to run. Hudspeth has 2 timeouts, and he uses one with 32 seconds to go. 4th down, Ragin' Cajuns. It'll be the ball game when we come back. Fourth down and 5 to go for Louisiana Lafayette. They rallied from 23 down in the second half to tie. Kentucky scored on its last drive. The Ragin' Cajuns need a first to still have a shot.
And if you're Kentucky, protect the deep ball. They've got 3 deep and protect the boundary. But get off the field if you can. Big time 4th down. It's rocking in this place.
Hack throws to Robinson. It's a 1st down. He got 7. That'll momentarily stop the clock. On the official signal, the clock starts again. 25 seconds and ticking. 4-man rush. Hack underneath. He finds McGuire down at the 41. And Hudspeth uses his final timeout. Let's take a look at tonight's AT&T Strong Performance of the Night. And you want to talk about strong. Mikael Horton, the go-ahead touchdown, gets a block from Dorian Baker. And then he's his own blocker against TJ Worthy.
Yeah, he finished it off, got those pads low, kept those legs moving, and that could be the touchdown that won the game.
All right, if you're Mark Hudspeth now, you're probably trying to set yourself up for a Hail Mary sideline pass here.
Absolutely.
Try to
Corner
get to
routes.
about the 50, and then maybe you got a couple of shots.
Yes, sir. And you're telling your wide receivers, you're reminding them, we have no timeouts. And you're telling your whole offense so they can get back up and get back on the ball.
Oh, the clock started, and let's see if anybody catches it. They do. They're going to reset the clock.
Please reset the game clock to 14 seconds. It'll start on the snap.
Scoreboard operator maybe wanted to get out of here a little early.
You think?
14 seconds. 2nd and 3. Down and distance really irrelevant right now. Hack going over the middle. And is that ruled a catch and a fumble? No, they say incomplete. The back judge rules incomplete. Nick Byrne was the target. It took a long time for somebody to rule that ball was incomplete. So 7 seconds to go, 3rd and 3. Still time for a sideline play to set yourself up for a Hail Mary.
Yeah, and Hack looks much calmer since coming back into the ball game. Early on in the second half, couldn't quite find his rhythm nor his accuracy this time. When he's come back in, he's been able to really find his pass catchers.
That's Cody Quinn who's down. Don't forget, coming up next, 30 for 30 Youngstown boys. Mark Stoops, a Youngstown boy.
That he is.
And he and his recruiting coordinator, Vince Morrow, have mined Ohio, which is normal when Kentucky has strong teams, but they've gotten some top-tier talent from the Buckeye State. Kentucky next week goes to Columbia to take on South Carolina, a team the Wildcats beat last year. And then Florida, a team that Kentucky almost beat, and if you ask Big Blue Nation, should have beat.
Yeah, and I see those first 5 games. Those are, in my opinion, I think winnable games. So if you're Kentucky and you are knocked down tonight on the mat, you get back up, and you've got South Carolina next week. So this is a team that some people are predicting to finally break through and be a contender.
Not quite out of the woods against the Ragin' Cajuns. 3rd and 3. Hack has his pass batted down. Farrington Huguenin got his paw on it.
Yeah, it's easy to tee off on the quarterback and to get in those passing lanes when you know the pass is coming.
And now Kentucky dropping everybody back on 4th down. It was a sellout crowd. Refurbished stadium. Last play of the game. Hack heaves it downfield into a sea of blue. It's intercepted, and Kentucky holds on. Josh Forrest, the game-clinching interception. Kentucky survives. If you're the Wildcats, this was a tale of two halves. How do you walk away from this game?
Well, going into the game, Mark Stoops said it. This is a good Louisiana Lafayette team. And they weren't trying to disrespect them and come out and give a bad effort. Yeah, you had some woes in the second half, but you came back and you finished games. You didn't let what happened to you last year at Florida. You found a way to get the win. Defense made stops when they needed to. And the offense got the ball in the end zone. So, yes, you're sad. You've got things to work on. It's the first week of the season. But the good part, you got the win tonight.
And if you're Mark Hudspeth, you went up against an SEC team to start this season. You came back when you were down big in the second half. There's a lot for this Ragin' Cajun team to build off of going forward once they get into their league play. Final score from Lexington. Kentucky wins 40-33. For Ahmad Brooks, I'm Anish Shroff. We say good night. You don't have to go anywhere. Coming up next on ESPNU, it's 30 for 30, Youngstown boys.